Big Sills, National Football Show. We are in divisional round championship week. I think that's cool. I'm good with that. I mean, the storylines are already starting. Can I say this to Philadelphia Eagle fans right out of the gate? You have a merit badge today. You have an opposing player, okay, saying this, and I'm paraphrasing, Dexter Lawrence. Man, I can't send my mom down there. She'll start wolfing in there with the Eagle fans, and she'll start wolfing along with the Eagle fans, and my mom might start throwing hands. Dude, what an absolutely great home field advantage that is. That the Eagle fans strike fear in the players and their family's safety. I dig that. That's a home field advantage. Hey, Eli Manning on the Manning telecast the other night goes, hey, I never thought I'd ever go down and watch a Giant game ever. I'm paraphrasing here too. Eli goes, I'm going to go probably break the rule and go down there. And I can't think how many one-gun salutes I'm going to get when I go down to Philadelphia for the Giant-Eagle game on Saturday night. So you got Eli Manning and you got Dexter Lawrence saying that. Don't come to the lake, says Philiopolis. Dude, that is so great. I love that. Oh, my God. I think that is classic. I think it's the greatest home field advantage. Man, when you got people saying, hey, I don't know, man, you want to go to Lincoln Financial? Well, hey, make sure you don't wear the opposing gear. It's great. That's what makes fan bases like Buffalo and Philadelphia and Chicago and places like that a spectacular electric home field advantage. That's why the fans get juiced for that kind of shit. That's why you and I bitch every day here, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6. By the way, the legendary Eagle Seth Joyner will join us at the bottom of the hour. Part of our post-game show here on JAKIB Sports. We're going to talk some ball with our boy. And by the way, anytime Seth is on, it's like a classroom. So that'll be at the bottom of the hour. I love that. James, Danger Zone. When Big Sills played down at the Orange Bowl, the Imperial March? The Imperial March in Star Wars? They would dim the lights, and all of a sudden the smoke would come. Who invented the smoke coming out of the tunnel? You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay? You're welcome. Everybody does that. Now they got turnover chains. You're welcome. The smoke would start coming as we came out of then they would dim the lights. Here come the Canes. And trust me, when you're 31-0 and you hadn't lost a game in 3 years and you're coming out of the tunnel in the smoke and the Imperial March, I mean, hey, man, it's pretty intimidating when you walk out there and you see the other team going, holy shit. We used to frighten teams doing that. And that's what you got going on Lincoln Financial. You got this going on, man. I don't know if I'm going to send. Dexter Lawrence is going. I can't send my mom down there, man. She'd start wolfing with Eagle fans, and I can't have it because my mom would start throwing hands. Yeah. Holy cow, man. That is so awesome. Good for you, man. Jalen Hurts versus Dimes Jones. Who would have thunk it at the beginning of the year? Daniel Jones versus Jalen Hurts in a divisional game Saturday night. Lincoln Financial. And now you have people saying this about both players. One's an NFL MVP, and the other one might just be a franchise quarterback in New York. Look at how things have changed. Hey, personally, and some of you are right. Watch this. I thought Daniel Jones sucked out loud. I didn't see it. Good coaching shows up. His best performance as a professional was this past weekend against Minnesota, in Minneapolis. It was crazy great. Jalen's put an MVP performance on this year. It's incredible. I'm going to make a comment here about these two players, though. They're not elite. Let me finish. They're unique. I have had a tough time dissecting that. Being unique is one of. That means it's almost impossible to defend. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. That's the definition of the NFL's elite quarterbacks. What I'm saying here is that guys like Lamar Jackson and Daniel Jones, maybe, I don't know yet, but surely Jalen may be changing the definition of what elite is in the NFL. Is that, look, this is not throwing shade on. I'm not throwing shade on him. Would you rather be elite or unique? That means it's when you try to put a game plan against Jalen Hurts, that's not something you see all the time. You don't see that all the time. Hard to defend. Hard to defend. The word elite may be starting to get redefined here by some of these new quarterbacks that are coming into the NFL. That's a me thing. I got to, the old man get off my lawn kind of conversation here. Maybe what Jalen is doing and some of these quarterbacks, like Kyler Murray too, maybe they're redefining the word elite. Can you be elite even though you don't look like Patrick Mahomes? I think it's how you look at how the result is. I think sometimes we get so caught up in the method and not the result. Like you guys bring up all the time to me, okay? And again, guys, I promise you, I'm not starting to show off here, throwing shade on anybody. I'm trying to have a conversation about what Jalen is really doing more so to the word elite and the phrase elite quarterback. I mean, he's got 2 1,000-yard receivers. Does he throw the ball like Mahomes or some of those other guys? Absolutely not. But the thing he does, too, is on third down, Jalen Hurts has a better percentage on third down efficiency than any of those other guys. Why? Because he protects the football. The guy in Buffalo has a problem with that. And I'm going to, the more I dissect Josh Allen and his ability to get to the Super Bowl this postseason, that kid's got to protect the ball. I've got question marks, and I wrote down 8 questions for 8 teams that are remaining, the Elite 8, as we get ready for the playoffs here. Let's go to this. I mean, the definition of elite. Okay, I think Daniel Jones, he's got to show me again he can do it. Okay. Hurts' best win is Minnesota. Okay, well, what's the best win for the Niners? Seattle? I mean, dude, you can go any team in the NFC and have that conversation. What's the best victory? What's the best victory for the Giants? Also Minnesota? The Eagles blew out the Minnesota Vikings. Okay? Who is your quarterback? He beat the Giants. Well, Daniel Jones beat him a year ago, too. Seals, who would you draft, Mahomes, Burrow, or Allen? It'd be crazy for me to sit here and tell you that I wouldn't draft Patrick Mahomes, even though I love Joe Burrow. It would be Mahomes. Now, how many people think Patrick Mahomes would be the same quarterback if he didn't have Andy Reid? What if Josh Allen had Andy Reid? Okay, that's a dynamic in this conversation too. What if Joe Burrow had Andy Reid? Okay, what if those guys, Andy Reid's the best coach in the NFL today. He's the best coach. Philiopolis said, Mahomes is just different. I think you're right. But I do think that Andy Reid is a tremendous mentor to quarterbacks and to coaches. I think he's a tremendous coach when it comes to developing. I wrote down 8 questions for the 8 teams. And you tell me, before we get to the topics, you tell me if we're in line here. Eagles, do we not agree? The number one question going into the playoffs for the Eagles is Hurts' health. How healthy is he? Now, he's not on the IR. He's not on the injury list. He's completely healthy. Now, it was a fancy walkthrough today, but he's not on the injury list. Hurts' health, in my opinion, is the question. I think that's the biggest question. Even more so than the coaches. We're going to get to that here in a sec, too. Here's the Bills. Can Allen take care of the football? How simple is I think these question marks going into the postseason, I think they're very simple. Look, Eagles, Hurts' health. It's the number one priority. Bills, can Josh Allen take care of the football? Bengals, can the offensive line hold up for Joe Burrow? Chiefs, can the defense show up? Cowboys, this is the craziest one. Can the Cowboys play with pressure? I never thought about this before. You know why people take a shit on Mike McCarthy? Because the guy that's in front of the mic all the time is Jerry Jones. We don't get to hear the coach. The owner is constantly in front of the mic. We have no understanding of who Mike McCarthy is. When's the last time you've seen a Mike McCarthy press conference? I don't know. When was the last time I saw one? I see Jerry all the time. But I don't see McCarthy. McCarthy's never in front of a mic. He's got to be the only head football coach that's in the postseason that's never in front of a mic. Can the Cowboys play with pressure? How weak is that one? 49ers. Will Purdy hit the wall? We're waiting for this, aren't we? Pretty crazy shit here, man. When you're talking about the questions going into the postseason here, and in the Elite Eight, here are your question marks. Giants. Can Martindale keep pace with what they're doing with the offensive coaches and Brian Dable's offensive coaching staff? Will Martindale's defense match what they're doing on offense? They looked really good against the Vikings. And the Jags. Was that the Jags' big moment against the Chargers? Can they do it again? Was that an emotional? They were so emotional to win that game. Can they do it again? So, Eagles, Hurts' health. Bills, Allen take care of the ball. Bengals, O-line holding up. Chiefs, can the defense show up? Cowboys, can you play with pressure? That's the weakest one of them all. 49ers, will Purdy hit the wall? Giants, will the defensive coaches, Martindale and those guys, be as good as Brian Dable? And the Jags was last week the pinnacle of their postseason. Can they go to Kansas City and do it again? Pretty simple shit here, man. You answer all the... Seriously, if you're the Eagles, you're looking at it like this. Hurts' health. Hurts' health. We're going to know immediately, too, on how the play calling goes. Okay? Brock Purdy's Jeff Garcia 2.0? I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay? I don't think so. Let's get into the topics here. Guys, this is not talked about enough because people in Philly are afraid to bring it up. Is Nick Sirianni's future riding on Saturday night's game? I want to hear what you guys say right out of the gate before I give you my full take on this. Is Sirianni's future Saturday night? Does it depend on him winning this game Saturday night? I don't know if he has to win a Super Bowl. Hell no. Philiopolis says he's secure. Remember what Philiopolis said there. Hell no, he's secure. Tank 100%. Not in the immediate future. Coaches are in the spotlight. Sirianni has at least 2 years here. Joshua says, I don't think so. Write it down. Take a picture. Okay. I completely disagree with him, but that's okay. Let me show you why it is. You guys have been telling me all year long that this is Howie Roseman's greatest creation. He's not afraid to fire a Super Bowl winning coach. Why would he be afraid to fire Nick Sirianni if this thing shits the bed on Saturday night? Remember something. This is the same organization that's fired Andy Reid and Doug Peterson. And this is Howie's team. These are Howie's assistant coaches. This whole thing is Howie Roseman's creation. If they shit the bed on Saturday night, you think that Howie is not going to look at that and go, coaching cost us this, not the personnel on the field. You have all these tremendous stats on defense. 2,000-yard wide receivers. You got a quarterback that was in the MVP conversation. You got a 1,000-yard Pro Bowl running back. You got a tight end that's being considered one of the 3 best in the sport. And you're telling me that coach doesn't have his ass on the line if that guy shits the bed? How do you think? And you got a general manager that will pull the switch on you and drop you through the trap door. How in your right mind don't you think he'll pull the trap door on you? He's done it to Doug. They did it to Andy. Why, if that team gets upset and beat Saturday night convincingly, you think Nick Sirianni's job is safe? This is Howie's greatest creation. D. Gunn has said it. People in the media in Philadelphia has said it. You have said it here. He's the executive of the year. Sirianni loses his ball game Saturday night. Is his job safe? Interesting. This is not shared success in Philly. This is all on one man. Because you know what the headlines will be on Monday? Wrong man at the helm. Wrong man at the helm. God forbid Doug Peterson pulls the upset off and beats Kansas City and Sirianni loses Saturday night. Or let's just say it's an overtime game in Kansas City and the Eagles lose Saturday night. You think his job's safe? Really? This is Howie Roseman's show. This is the Howie show, not the Nick Sirianni show. You guys are nuts. These coaches in Philadelphia are interchangeable. They've proven this to you. It doesn't matter who the guy is. His job is safe. Really. Better win. And again, I believe the Eagles will win. I think it's a fourth quarter football game because the coaching in New York is way better than it is in Philly. I'm telling you flat out. I've been saying this since the 8th game of the season. My issue is no longer with Jalen playing good football. My issue is with whether or not the coaches are capable of letting them play good football. That's been my issue. And I'm going to stick to this. Let's look at this here. Let's match up the coaching staff. Nick Sirianni's coaching staff versus the Bills and Sean McDermott. I don't believe so. And Leslie Frazier? Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator, was a former NFL head coach? No. The Bengals, how can you say that Nick Sirianni has a better coaching staff when they went to the Super Bowl last year? Zach Taylor's group went to the Super Bowl, and they're back in the divisional round. You know where the Rams are now? Those guys are playing golf in Southern California. Chiefs, come on, I'm not even going to go there. Cowboys, you really think you got a better coaching staff in Philadelphia than in New York and then in Dallas? I don't think so. I think Dallas has Dan Quinn's a superior defensive coordinator to your guy. And Kellen Moore is actually an offensive coordinator. Do you know? Do you know? Hey, to me, Shane Steichen is a game manager. He's not really a coordinator because when the coordinating is on the field and the quarterback makes a decision on what play to run, it's out of the hands of the coordinator. 49ers? Absolutely not. Defensive coordinator and the head coach is superior to anything in Philadelphia. Giants? Absolutely not. Jags? Absolutely not. You got the least experienced coaching staff and probably the worst coaching staff compared to the other 7 teams. And you feel comfortable that if he loses that game Saturday night, his job is safe. You're probably right. You'll probably bring him back. But the blame will be all over the staff. Won't be on the players. You know why? Those are Howie's guys. Howie's not going to blame his players. He's going to blame the coaches like he always does. Howie has had a history of blaming coaches, not players. He blames coaches. They don't blame players because that's a reflection of him. But his job is safe. Maniac says Kellen Moore is not a good offensive coordinator, and Mike McCarthy has been in the league 50 years. Great. Okay, great. Will keeps the record, bro. That's long ago. This is now about playing football, and everyone's either 1-0 or 0-0. The record has no bearing. Marty Schottenheimer was 14-2, and the Chargers fired him because the general manager and him collided, A.J. Smith. They collided over the Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers decision. So good coaches get fired. Jim Caldwell got fired. Had a winning record in Detroit. Good coaches get fired. Brian Flores in Miami got fired. Good coach. Come on, man. Come on now. Cannon to the Texans. Yeah, the greatness of David Mills. Can't wait to see how that pans out. Jonathan Gannon is the next Nathaniel Hackett. Remember I said it. Okay? Remember I said it. Fool's gold. Because Jonathan Gannon, hey, did you see the press conference today by Jonathan Gannon? He's not going to do anything different than what they've done all year. Soft coverages, zone coverages, and you're going to allow Daniel Jones to run all over that field. He said it. I watched the press conference. We're not going to do anything different. We've had great success with what we're doing, and we're going to stick with it. So, guys will be running around in the middle of the zones. Guys will have to set the edge against Daniel Jones. And make no mistake about it, they're not doing anything different. They're not going to blitz more. They're not going to press coverage more. They're not going to do any of that. By the way, Seth Joyner's going to join us here in a couple minutes. Okay? Seth is going to join us. Somebody goes like this, Sills, I think he's BSing. Why would he BS? He's been that way all year. Why would he BS? It's one thing to tell me. It's another thing to see what they've done all year. You got to go with the trends. He's not BSing. That's who he is. He's not going to do anything different. That staff's not going to do anything different. I don't think it's a very creative staff. I think it's a very emotional staff. I'm telling you, the most level-headed guy on the sidelines every single Sunday is Jalen. I got more confidence in Jalen. That's a fact. I mean that. Okay? Seals, you have to. Seals, why would he tell the Giants our game plan? Because the Giants already, they're not going to do anything that the Giants don't know already. Common opponent and divisional opponents, man. You know what they're going to do. They're not going to come out of they may do different formations. They may try something different. But here, think about it. How creative is the Eagle offense? You think they run different formations? That's not a formation-driven offense. It's a tight end, 2 wide out, run the ball offense. There's not a shitload of complicated alignments. They don't align. Like when you watch the Kansas City Chiefs and you watch them on film, they probably have around 15 to 20 plays, but they probably run 100 different technically sound alignments off of those because that's what John Gruden, that's what all these spread guys do. They do all of that kind of stuff. The Eagles are not a complex, technically sound, and formation-driven team. They line a Y and a Z and a tight end and a running back, and then they run the ball. They throw on the seam and they throw in the slot. It's not complicated. That's right, Steven. Same shit, different formation, because they're trying to spread you out. You could be on the short side of the field, weak formation, strong formation. It's a very simple offense. That's what the RPO is. The quarterback has enough to think about because think of this. He's got to decide whether to pass it or run it every freaking play. That's not on the coordinator. The coordinator designs the technical room to play in. He basically creates the sandbox. And Jalen plays in the sandbox. That's what that offense is. It's not an Andy Reid offense or what you see up in Buffalo or even in Cincinnati. You don't see that there in Philadelphia. That's not what they do. They're a simple offense that gets great performance because of great skilled players all up and down the lineup. From the center to both tackles to the tight end to Y and Z to the running back. There's skilled guys everywhere. That's why that thing, you don't have to be over creative like you see in Kansas City. Andy runs a very complex, I think, system in Kansas City. And Mahomes is still learning it. He says it all the time. That, hey, man, being in an Andy Reid offense, tell you what, man, the formations alone, just understanding the alignment is complex for us. That's why when you get rid of a guy like Tyreek Hill in Kansas City, dude, when you scheme against teams like, look, here's the difference. And I'll tell you what, there's a good attitude about this too that I think favors the Eagles. When you play the Eagles, they're going to go like this. We're running the ball here. We're going to kick your ass and you can't stop us. When you're in Kansas City, you know what you get? When you're in KC, they're going to spread you out, different formations, different alignments. That's who they are. That's been him since he was in Philadelphia. That's why the attitude, when people start going like this, when they start talking about the Eagles and they got a little bit away from that, you have to understand something, man. when you play against a team like Kansas City is an alignment-situated offensive attack. They're going to run 20 plays with 60 different alignments off of that. When you're in Philadelphia, they probably got 10 plays for Jalen in the RPO, and they're going to go like this. I'm running here. I'm going to kick your ass, and you can't stop us. That's why it's a low turnover type of offensive approach. It's a winning approach because protecting the football in these games is the most essential thing you can have. Okay? This is not a complex offense in Philly. That thing in Kansas City is. Let's get to our friend, man. Classroom is just about ready to start here with Seth Joyner. Seth, I appreciate it here, man. I thank you so much. This is a great time of the year here. Seth, are you concerned going into this game Saturday night against this Giants team that this team hasn't played their best ball the last month of the season?
I'm here.
Okay, hey, Seth, are you concerned that this team hasn't played their best ball the last month of the season going into the Saturday night game?
No, listen, you never know. I think that everybody thought that, Dallas wouldn't fare well last week, given how they played. And they went down to Tampa Bay and looked darn near unbeatable. But then again, you can't really tell whether that was how bad Tampa really is or whether Dallas is, really playing that well. It's interesting what you said about Kansas City as well. I was listening. I think that what Kansas City does is, Andy is a master at using your inefficiencies against you, if you will. I don't think that what he does is overly complicated or overly genius. I just think that, they look at film and they look at guys and they see where there's technique flaws and where there's fundamental flaws and where there's undisciplined in a defense. And I think they game plan to take advantage of those things because they know that players aren't disciplined like they were, back in the day when I played. It's simple because your eyes are a big part of, the game. So all of that ring around the rosy and motion and, jet motion and, all of this stuff all over the place is designed to make your eyes look somewhere where it shouldn't be looking. It's almost like, I got my right hand behind my back. Here's my left hand. Look at what my left hand. Don't pay attention to what my right hand is doing. And when teams are undisciplined, they're going to get beat like that. Now, that doesn't mean that Patrick Mahomes and the weapons that he has, they aren't effective in what they do. But I think, most teams get beat more because of undisciplined eyes and undisciplined key reading and undisciplined in, as far as the integrity of their defense is concerned, than anything else.
Seth, I'm going to bring a comment up that Buddy Ryan made to Jerome and I when he came down in '86. He was telling us because he was watching game film with us and Jimmy and Butch Davis and all them guys. And he looked at both of us and went just like this. Don't ever watch the ball. Watch your technique because it'll take you to the ball. He goes, when you start watching the ball, and to your point, Seth, I'm down with Jimmy and Belichick's down there, and I asked him how he approached and how he attacked teams. He goes, I find the guy that has the least understanding of the defensive scheme or the offensive scheme, and we go after that particular guy. That's why they were so difficult for years. So to your point, that's what you do. How would you attack this Giant team then, in your opinion, if you're Philadelphia, on what you've seen so far? Except this looks like a completely different Giant team than what we saw in Week 14.
Well, again, I ask the question, is it a different team or was it the bland Minnesota Viking defense? Because I don't think that Minnesota's defense is really all that good. Ed Donatello runs a real basic defense. They want to be in zone, 85% of the time, although they did get in some man situations more than I'm sure the Giants expected. But it was a kind of a little bit of a departure from who they really are, is what I'm trying to say. They want to be in zone. They want to sit in their zone. But Daniel Jones came out. They had Kafka and Dayball had a great plan for him. He was getting the ball out of his hands. He was decisive where to go with the ball because he was getting pre-snap reads. When you see these cornerbacks line up 8-9 yards off the ball, they're trying to run cover 3 off of that. Teams are just going to raise up and throw it out there and take the 5 or 6 yards and keep the chains moving. That's what Daniel Jones did. And then they were undisciplined in how they was, rushing the passer, and they let him sneak out and run for almost 70 yards in the first half alone. It just, if my number one objective, and any defense's number one objective, is to stop the opposing team from running the ball and make them one-dimensional. Saquon Barkley, while he didn't have a ton of yards, it wasn't, his numbers weren't overly impressive. I think he had like 9 carries for like 54 yards,
right there,
and 2 touchdowns. One really big run. Other than that, but he was playing like a man possessed. In the passing game, he had 5 catches for another 50+ yards. So that's the guy, in my opinion, you got to get him under control. The Eagles have got to get him under control. And I don't care if you have to load the box, you load the box, but you can't allow Saquon Barkley to get off, because if he gets off and they start running play action, boots, and all that kind of stuff, short rolls with Daniel Jones and his ability to run out of the pocket, then you got problems. I want to shut down the run. I want my ends to be disciplined. I want my tackles to be disciplined in their rush lanes, balanced. We want to get there, but we don't want to get there at the expense of letting him out the pocket. We want Daniel Jones to operate and win the game and make tough decisions from the pocket.
Seth, why am I concerned about the coaching staff more than I am about the players on Saturday night? When I hear a guy like Jonathan Gannon today going like this, we're really not going to do anything different than what we've been doing all year. And again, I'm not expecting him to give the game plan away at a press conference, but they're not going to do anything different than what they have, because that's his DNA. His DNA is soft coverages, having a zone. And when you got linebackers that struggle on what you're saying, covering backs out of the backfield and tight ends, I'll tell you something that's been exposed about the Eagle. Maybe you disagree. The Eagle linebackers, they struggle covering tight ends and backs out of the backfield. And if you play a soft zone, Seth, I don't know how there's not a hole in the middle of that if you establish a running game.
Well, listen, I've said it all along that, there's issue with these linebackers. I thought Kazir White would be a much better coverage linebacker than he's been. Smart teams, and I expect for this offensive coordinator and this head coach to take advantage of the middle of the field against these 2 linebackers. TJ Edwards, I think, has been great in the run game. And at times he's been good, in the passing game. But more times than not, they've taken advantage of him. When you go 3-by-1 and TJ is the Mike backer, and they begin to take the tight end and swap the tight end with the Z receiver, they've now created a mismatch, whether you're in zone or whether you're in man. And that middle linebacker has to play that number 3 wide receiver in zone concepts, and he just can't stand up, to that responsibility. So then what do? They go to dime, and they take Kazir White out, and they just really, they go single high. They put TJ Edwards as a hole player, and now you got DBs all over the place. Well, from an offensive coordinator, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, well, we got the numbers that we want. Let's run the ball in this situation, specifically if it's a 3rd and short situation. You want to go dime. Really, the only time that this team can play dime is in 3rd and long situations. But, for Jonathan Gannon to say he's not going to do anything different, he's almost really giving away his game plan. Because if you're going to do the same thing and you got a chance to see this same defense twice, the 3rd time, offensively, you're going to make some adjustments that's going to allow you to have some successes. He's got to have a couple of different wrinkles in. Those cornerbacks cannot play cover 3 from 7 to 8 yards off. They've got to get up and bail and play cover 3 from a bail technique. They've got to play man from off, and then come up as the play clock is running down. You got to do some different things to confuse and get Daniel Jones to think, while he's out there, rather than him making pre-snap reads and knowing what he wants to do and where he wants to go with the ball before he even asks the center for it.
Boy, Seth, I mean, that's right on because, like you said, if you're playing back and you're not playing press coverage, and all of a sudden you're stressing your edges out so much because I thought that was one of the determining factors on why Jones was so successful was because he threatened the edges and they couldn't keep him in contain. That was a new element added. They almost basically took a page out of the Philadelphia Eagles page and said, well, Daniel Jones is a pretty good athlete. Let's see if he could stress the edges. And if you're not pressing, they're going to run them down the field, right? Your end's got to keep that guy boxed in. That could be the key to this ball game here.
Well, it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be a huge part in this game. Listen, we always knew that Daniel Jones could run the football. They just never put him in a position where, he's needed to run it. But when you get into the playoffs, you pull out all the stops. You do everything that you can to win that game. And you pool whatever resources you have at your disposal to be successful. Why would you hold Daniel Jones and make him a pocket passer when he has those capabilities? Especially playing against Minnesota, who is a zone team who all of a sudden decided that they wanted to play a little more man coverage. Well, you play right into the hands of Daniel Jones because your defensive ends and your tackles were undisciplined in their rush lanes, and when they were undisciplined, he got outside the pocket, and against man coverage, he's going to get 10 to 15 yards before the defense can react to him because most of the guys, once he breaks contain, are running with wide receivers down the field with their backs to the quarterback, So if you're going to play man coverage, then you got to temper your pass rush. You can go all out when you got a zone behind it. Is your defensive line in tune with the coverage enough to understand the difference between the two, or are the communicators on your defense smart enough to let those guys know, hey, we got man coverage here? Be a little more disciplined. Hey, we got zone coverage here. You guys can, you got a little more latitude to just go.
Couple last questions here for you, Seth. I mean, Seth, do you agree that we're going to know immediately how much the game plan and the playbook is opened on how they manage Jalen Hurts and whether or not his health is where it needs to be? Now, you and I will look at it like this. Everybody's healthy right now, man. I don't give a crap what it is. It's playoffs. You got to get out there and play. But do you manage the fact that he's missed a couple games because of that shoulder injury? Do you run him in the RPOs? Do you not run him in the RPOs? Do you think we're going to know right away whether or not really the extent of his injury right away? Because if he's not stressing the edges, Seth, he's a unique player like Lamar. He needs that part of his arsenal, I think, to win ball games.
No, listen, I think that, he is the system. And what he does opens up everything for everyone else. Him being a threat to run the ball helps the running game from the running backs. Him being a threat to run the football opens up the passing lanes for RPOs. Him with the ability to run the football when they run read option opens up everything, okay? So I think this offense is a lot more complex, than people think it is. But you have to have Jalen Hurts at his fullest in order for it to actually work. See, because there's how many quarterbacks in the NFL can run this system? Maybe 1, 2 at the most, okay? So it's complex because every single time that you put the ball out there, you're reading 2 or 3 things, and one bad read, could put you in a second long or third long situation. What Jalen's been masterful at all year is making the right reads and the right decisions at the right times. He very rarely makes a mistake on what he's supposed to be doing with the football. I think that as you go into this game, you pull out all the stops. This isn't like week 16, week 17, where you got another week to come back and figure it out. The finality of the playoffs means that you pull out all the stops to get done what you have to get done to move on to the next round. Now, you want Jalen to be smart. You don't want to be silly and be out there, lowering your throwing shoulder trying to run over defensive backs or linebackers. But you want him to run the offense the way the offense has been designed and how he's been running the offense before he got injured. And you have to throw caution to the wind. You can't protect him in a game like this. The only way you can protect him is that you get out, you get a huge lead that's insurmountable, and you take him out at halftime. That's the only way you're going to protect him on Saturday night. Other than that, whatever's in the playbook, everything is up, everything's alive, and every option is alive. That's the only way you're going to win this game. We saw last week that they can't operate efficiently if he's not a threat to run the football.
Seth, you said something about the Eagle offense being complex, and I'm like, the offensive coordinator, though, relies on the decision-making of the quarterback, not his play calling. And so to me, it's more of Hurts. Like you said, he's the system. So I get that Steichen and Nick put this formula together, but they're really almost obsolete in the whole process of moving the chains, because you may call a play, Seth, and it's up to Jalen to make that, whether am I going to throw it? Am I going to run it? Am I going to keep it? Am I going to hand it? All of that is him and his decision-making. So when you say it's complex because the quarterback has the great decision-making. I don't think the sideline guys are spectacular offensive coordinators because it's the quarterback that's making the spectacular decisions. Am I wrong when I say that?
No, I think it's a combination. I'm not going to go that far because the RPO piece and the read option isn't the only part of the offense that they have. You have, 11 personnel. You've got 12 personnel situations where you're not really running RPOs or read options, where you've got a call and the quarterback's got to make a check based upon what he sees, pre-snap, or the coordinator gets into a groove where he's giving you a good mixture of just straight handoffs and read options and RPOs. So it's the call, but like every other quarterback in the NFL, the quarterback's got to make, Jalen's got to make the adjustment at the line of scrimmage. He's got to read what's going on. He's got a pre-snap read. He's got to read in the moment. And when they're throwing the ball, he's got to understand, okay, they're in this coverage. If they're in this coverage, the primary goes left to right. Who's my primary receiver against this coverage? And he's got to make the adjustment. If he's in something that he doesn't like, then he's got to check out of it and put the offense, in a better position. He and the coaches have gone over those 10 to 15 play scenarios that says that, when we get this look, we think this gives us an opportunity for a home run. He's got to see it. He's got to remember it. He's got to recognize it, and he's got to make the adjustment, okay? But if they don't go through it during the week as an offensive coordinator and a quarterback, then how is he going to make those decisions? So while the onus of the decisions on game day, is on Jalen because he's actually on the field, it's the preparation that transpires throughout the week with him and his offensive coordinator and his quarterback coach. And even Nick Sirianni, if he sticks his head in the offensive room, to make sure that they're putting together a plan that will always and in every situation puts Jalen in a position to have success. And then when he doesn't, when everything goes to hell in a handbasket, use your athleticism, use your skills, to get out of the pocket and run if you need to run, or buy time to throw it down the field if you need to do that.
Seth, so it's more like chalkboard stuff where you're going over situational play calling. What do you do on 3rd and 3 here? When you see the safety high or you see the linebacker covering, do you go block and release on your tight? Are you constantly going over situational play calling? So to me, it's not so much being out there on the practice field running this. It's more seeing it like Brady does and how he goes over, because there used to be a war game, and Belichick told Jimmy Johnson this. They play a war game like a battleship, Seth. He'd throw this at him. Hey, this is where we're going to go here with this. What is it, 3rd and 10 here? You're on your -20. Brady would have to come up with a scenario. Do you think it's that kind of coaching that's going on for him? Because he's got a lot on his plate to make that one play in a situation, in a series work. That's how they prepare for this? Seth, your mic Seth, there you go. Go ahead.
I think that situationally, I believe that there are different parts of the field that you've got different offensive plays that are designed for that part of the field. Like when you look at a play sheet for an offensive coordinator, they got like a block over here, a block over here, a small block over here, and they flip it over. They got all these different sections. Those sections, in my opinion, are situational blocks. So the quarterback knows, even on his wrist, the plays that he has on his wrist are in coordination with that sheet that the offensive coordinator has. Okay. So when you get in the red zone, you know that there's only a handful of defenses that they're going to run in the red zone. You're not going to run in the red zone what you run out, on the minus 30. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So when you go through your red zone package, it's like, okay, give me all the red zone plays that the Giants have run in the last 5 weeks. So your film guy is going to pull down all of those plays, and you're going to get an opportunity through the analytics to see, okay, what defenses do they run, in the red zone? And you're probably going to find out they probably got 4, maybe 5 different defenses in the red zone. So now the coaching staff can take each one of those defenses and craft plays that work against that defense. Okay. And now that's what Jalen Hurts and the coaches are going over every single week. If you get this look, if you get this read in this situation, check to this. This is what we want to go to. Now the onus is on Jalen to do the work during the week, to commit it to memory, or to have it on his arm pad that when he sees that, check, kill. Get us to the best situation to help us be successful. I believe that every coach, every offensive coordinator, every quarterback coach, every offensive-minded head coach has those conversations with his quarterback during the week.
Seth, I swear to God, 2 questions here, and I want to bring you to your playing days here. Is postseason experience an overrated thing? And I'm going to throw this at you about your gangrene team. I thought that side of the football, and I was in the league at the time, I thought you guys, when you were in the postseason, I told Jerome this, I thought you guys played with more pressure on you because you knew the limitations of your offense. And you played, you guys never played, but like the Fog Bowl or whatever, there were all kinds of situations that you guys played. I thought you guys played with more pressure on you than what Randall did and what you guys had on that side of the ball because you knew they were limited. Am I right or wrong on that?
No, listen, no doubt about it. There was not equal footing because the Philadelphia Eagles franchise was not a 2 to 3 year fix. It was a 5 to 7 year fix. That's how bad the organization was. And back then, you didn't have as much money under the salary cap, as you have now. So Buddy had to build one piece and then begin the process of building the other piece. Well, it just so happened that, him and the owner didn't see eye to eye. He wasn't given the time to actually do it. I'll give you a case in point. The day before he got fired, I walked in his office and he was watching film. And he looks at me, he says, I'm looking at these offensive linemen. I got to get Randall some offensive linemen to protect him and to create a running game. He said, I got the defense settled. You guys are headed in the direction I need you. I need to build out the offense now. And he goes, these 2 offensive tackles from Tennessee, he goes, neither one of them are worth a shit. I mean, that's exactly what he said. Anton Davis and the McCray kid.
Yep. Turned out the Bucs took him and he sucked.
Yeah. So he said, but this kid right here, and I'll tell you who he's talking about in a second. Let me give you a chance to guess who he is. He said, this kid right here is going to be a perennial All-Pro. He may even be a Hall of Famer. Who do you think that tackle was?
Jim Lachey.
No, because he tried to trade for Jim Lachey, and the Eagles wouldn't make the trade, and he wound up going to Washington. Washington won the Super Bowl that year.
The kid at UCLA.
Lachey, yeah.
Ogden?
Lachey played with Keith Byers at Ohio State, and Keith Byers went to Buddy, was like, hey, we need to trade for this guy. Harry Gamble and Norman Brayman would not make the trade, so he went to Washington instead. Okay, the guy that I'm talking about is Eric Williams.
Wow, goes to the Cowboys.
Eric Williams. Now we picked that year. 2 days later, they fired Bud. Okay, we picked before Dallas in that draft that year in the first round. But the Eagles traded away 2 first-round draft picks to move up and take Anton Davis because they thought that other teams were going to take him.
Wow.
And we could have sat right where we were and kept those draft picks if Buddy would have remained the head coach and taken Eric Williams to set the tone for a new offensive line.
That's dude, that team, you guys, that defense. I'll go to my grave saying this, man. It was the best defense I've ever seen because you guys did it over a longer period of time than the 85 Bears. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't meant to be, Seth. Seth, you know what? I look at things in the mirror. You must look in the mirror all the time and go, shit. It's just, because am I right when you do that? Because I do that. I go, man, lost opportunity there.
Well, listen, everything that's the tough part about winning the championship. Everything has to fall in place the right way. Injuries have to play a part. You got to be peaking at the right time in all phases. You got to have players and horses across the board to get it done. The coaches got to make the right moves and pull the right levers and the right strings. It's tough. So when you see a team like the Cowboys be able to go back to back, back in the day, and the Denver Broncos be able to go back to back in the day, and the San Francisco 49ers be able to go back to back in the day. You see Kansas City get there and back to back, even though they win one and they lose one. It takes talent, good coaching, great GM moves, and some luck in order to get that done. We had the pieces and we were on the right trajectory. Just, luck wasn't on our side. And I'll tell you another story. I was in New York playing golf at O.J. Anderson's golf event. I was the only Eagle among all these giants, okay? So we get done and we're sitting out on the patio, and the fog bowl comes up. And I'm sitting next to LT, and LT looks at me. He was like, the minute that fog rolled in there, he said, we knew we were going to win the Super Bowl. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, we weren't worried about Chicago or the 49ers. He said, we couldn't do anything with y'all. And when y'all lost in that fog bowl, he said, we knew right then and there that we were Super Bowl champions. And they won that year.
Damn. I promise this is it. I want to ask you one question about Andy Reid. Do you think that Patrick Mahomes buys more in? And Seth, I posted this on my Twitter page because to me, the thing that I see with Mahomes versus what I saw with McNabb in Philadelphia is that Patrick buys into what Andy's saying. Can you imagine losing Tyreek Hill, Seth, and you walk in and you go, who are you replacing him with? And he goes, Juju Smith-Schuster. I would have shit my brick if I was him and went, man. And what does he do? He breaks the all-time single-season passing number, and Andy looks at him and goes, I told you, I got you. That for a player, to me, that's buy-in. He does have me. I never thought that Donovan McNabb ever bought completely 100% in to what Andy was doing. The prime example is the TL relationship because Tom Brady had a murderer next to him, right next to his locker. He had a maniac in Antonio Brown. It's a quarterback's responsibility to make that work, not be adversarial towards your guys. You've got to make the entire locker room. I think this is Jalen Hurts' massive strength that he embraces the entire locker room, where Wentz maybe did half the locker room. How important is that to have that faith and relationship with the head coach? Because I never thought McNabb had it. I thought he was a whiner. And personally, I thought he complained too much. I thought he was petty.
Well, let me say this about Donovan. From the time that Donovan was picked, there were those in Philadelphia that didn't like the pick. You know, with the 9th pick overall, the Philadelphia Eagles select Donovan McNabb, University of Syracuse in the first round. Boo! Come on, man. Come on.
Agreed.
He's sitting at home looking at that nonsense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there were people that were upset before he could even get in the city. And then think about the first couple of years, all that he had to go through, the negative publicity and the negative comments about Donovan. And then how he tried to acquiesce to what the media and everybody else wanted him to do by stopping running the football and trying to become the pocket passer. And I think he lost something when he took that out of his game. I thought he bought in. I just didn't think that Andy Reid and Joe Banner did enough.
So they didn't buy in.
Well, listen, no. I think that Andy Reid and Joe Banner failed Donovan McNabb from a talent standpoint at the wide receiver position. Okay? Come on, James Thrash, Tom Peakston, Freddie Mitchell. Come on, man. You know, they tried, but they couldn't get it right. And you saw what Donovan could be once you gave him an elite level wide receiver. He had an elite level running back in Brian Westbrook and Buckhalter. He had an elite level tight ends in Selleck and Lewis, but he had nothing elite on the outside. Okay. Even though Andy made all of these moves as far as Patrick Mahomes is concerned, they still had talent. Okay. The one thing that Andy and Veach have been able to do is they've been able to find talent in the later rounds. Come on, Mecole Hardman is a beast.
Yeah.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
You know, Juju Smith-Schuster, I mean, he looked like he was on his way out of the league. They go and get him and bring him in, and he looks like a world beater. You know, so from the standpoint of it all, you know, I would always defend Donovan the same way that I defend, you know, Randall. If you want to know how great Randall could have been, go look at his 1 year in Minnesota, look at the statistics. And if he could have been surrounded, and I'm not saying that he had great wide receivers. He had Mike Quick. He had Fred Barnett. He had Keith Byers coming out of the backfield. But then he didn't have an offensive line. So he didn't even have time to see what the hell was going on. But when you look at what he did in that 1 year in Minnesota, okay, that gives you an idea of how great he could have been had he had a full slate of great talent around him. You know, Montana was great. Steve Young was great. Why? He had Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Brent Jones, Tom Rathman, Roger Craig, and then Ricky Waters. Come on. And a great offensive line. You know, you want me to go on? You want me to talk about Troy Aikman and why he was great? Yeah. Okay. So when I look at these two guys, they couldn't ascend to their ultimate potential and their ultimate greatness because they didn't have a complete slate. They didn't have what all these other great Hall of Fame quarterbacks had. Now, when you talk about how that pertains to leadership, yeah, you know, as a quarterback, you got to be that guy. Everybody has to love you on both sides of the ball and on special teams. And you got to be the guy that leads. If you're gonna call that position the most important position on the field, then you better go get a guy who everyone's going to hitch their caboose to and follow that guy. Jalen Hurts has the unique ability to lay it on the line and make everybody else believe that if he's going to lay it on the line, that they'll lay it on the line. And they're confident in him. They believe in what he's selling because he's selling the same thing that Nick Sirianni is selling. He's selling it. And everybody else is drinking the Kool-Aid, eating the oranges, and buying in. And that's why they're 14-3 and 2 games away from the Super Bowl. Plain and simple.
You know, Seth, I said this. Yeah, it's funny you said that. I said this yesterday about Randall. I said, you see that kid in Kansas City? That's Patrick Mahomes. I said, if Randall Cunningham played today, he's undefensible. If he had the 2022 Philadelphia Eagle offense, you could not defend Randall Cunningham. This guy was like Gumby running the ball. He's hurdling people. He's throwing it 100 yards down the field. I told, Patrick Mahomes, what you watch with him, that's a modern day Randall Cunningham on what you see. You think that comparison's fair?
It all depends on who his coach was. I think that Randall's potential and talent kind of flatlined for a while because, Doug Scoville, I don't know if you remember or know Doug Scoville. Doug Scoville passed away right had a massive heart attack in the Eagles facility. Doug Scoville was the sounding board, the only guy that Randall really trusted. So when Doug Scoville passed away, I feel like Randall's development became arrested. Now you got, and he struggled. He struggled through Buddy's last couple of years there. He struggled through Kote's time there, got benched. He got, let go once Ray Rose came in. But when he went to Minnesota, he had Brian Billick, a guy, an offensive coordinator turned head coach with a viable staff that could teach him and show him how to be the quarterback that they needed him to be. So a lot of things go into it.
Yeah.
Dan, a lot of things. I mean, the coaching is a big part of it because players can only improve to the level of the intellect level of the coaches that coach them. Okay, if you got a great quarterback coach and a great offensive coordinator and they know how to teach, then the chances that quarterback is going to succeed go up exponentially because they can teach him over time if he's bought into wanting to get better. If those coordinators and those quarterback coaches don't know a damn thing, what can they teach them? So we're watching and watching these young quarterbacks fail because you got people in position who don't know what the hell they're doing, perpetrating a fraud, and then we want to point the finger at the quarterback. Just like Lamar Jackson. I would have brought Lamar in, went and got him a quarterback guru, and taught him how to play the quarterback position from the pocket first, and then use your skills to run. No, what did they do? They draft him 32nd overall, last pick in the first draft. They bring in Greg Roman, and then they devise an offense for his skill set instead of making him learn how to be a quarterback first and a runner second. And then you wonder why he's beat up and hurt. You wonder why Cam Newton, flamed out when he flamed out. You wonder why RG3 is doing TV instead of still playing.
So you think, but isn't Jalen on that same road? I mean,
I don't think so.
Jalen's also that dual threat guy too. I mean, you everything you just said about Lamar. I mean, Seth, they're doing in Philly
right now. Jalen is in the second year of an offense for the first time in the last 6 years of his football playing career. Okay, he's still developing as a passer of the football. I said at the beginning of the season, Jalen Hurts has to throw the ball a minimum of 30 to 35 times a game in order for the Philadelphia Eagles to know whether he's the guy moving forward. I guarantee you he's averaging right around 35 passes a game. But the run piece of it is part of it. Do you think that they want him to have to run the ball? No, they don't.
Seth, he was on pace for 200 carries.
Yeah.
I mean, he was at 156 when, he got hurt, and this guy had 42 less carries than Miles Sanders. I mean, I thought that number was supposed to come down.
Well, but you got to understand, if you're going to run the RPO, there's a difference between called running plays for your quarterback and read option and RPO. I mean, this is why when people get all bent out of shape about how often he's running the ball, if you're going to implement this type of offense, every time that he puts the ball out, the defense is dictating whether he runs the ball or whether he hands it off or whether he passes it. He's just making the correct read. So your intention might be, okay, we want to throw the ball here, but if he gets a read to hand it, he's going to hand it off. If he gets a read to keep it, he's going to keep it. And that's the piece of the RPO that you have to deal with. Now, I'd like to see Jalen continue to to evolve, okay, to where you don't have to run the RPO, but every maybe twice a quarter. Why? Because as he continues to evolve as a passer and as a complete quarterback, and as a guy who can look and read the field pre-snap, then that's going to allow them to be more of a pass-centric offense. He is still developing. Last year, this time, we were talking about his accuracy. He was below 60% passing the ball, completion, all of these things. He went to the offseason and he improved it, okay? But you can't ask for this guy to be a seasoned vet in the second full year of him being a starting quarterback. He is still growing and developing. Now, I expect for him to take a massive leap next year, okay, where he can be the quarterback that you can call plays from the and have him play from the pocket. You can turn around and hand the ball off without it having to be an RPO or a read option, and he can operate like that. But you still have those weapons in your arsenal that you can call them up and use them at any time. That way, you keep your quarterback at a lot less risk for injury. And lastly, what the Eagles need to do is the Eagles need to go and draft a quarterback who possess the same skill sets that Jalen Hurts does, that they can groom so that when he gets hurt, and I say when he gets hurt because if he keeps running, he's going to get hurt again, that you got a guy that you can plug in like Tyler Huntley down in Baltimore, and you don't have to alter your offense. Okay?
Or Deion's kid.
And listen, what I'm saying is that you cannot ask Gardner Minshew to run Jalen Hurts' offense. Can't ask him to do that. He just would not pull the ball and run it. He's going to hand it off every time. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. Or he's going to pass it. He's not going to hold it. And that's the problem. If he's not going to take off and run it, then he can't be your backup quarterback. You got to go and find that guy in the draft and develop him so that when Jalen gets hurt, the team isn't hurt, too much by him having to sit a week or two.
I'm going to leave you with this. I'm on a 50-man panel that puts names together for the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame people have been on my show, and they exposed that. I'm on a 50-man panel that each year puts the list together for the pre-15, which are the final 15. And I submitted your name this year, along with Eric Allen, and a couple other dudes that probably deserve consideration for the Hall of Fame. And I put your stats together. Jason Coles was on here. So was Rick Gosselin. So was Jared Bell. They all ask me because I picked the 5 guys and I tell them who I think is the Hall of Fame. I wasn't supposed to say that, but a lot of them exposed. There's 50 of us. So I just want you to know, Seth, that's one of the reasons I wanted you on too, because I submitted your name for next year for candidacy for the Hall of Fame.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate it. I don't talk about myself, in the Hall of Fame deal because, the old rule used to be is the quickest way not to get in is to self-promote. So I don't promote. I don't talk about my world. I just don't do it. I see guys on social media that are tooting their own horn and going on. But the guy I will talk about, and who I think is an absolute, travesty is Eric Allen. There is no way in hell, okay? And I want to emphasize, no way in hell that Eric Allen should not be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame when you think about some of the other cornerbacks and defensive backs that have gotten in. Here's a guy with 50-plus interceptions, 10 touchdowns, okay? Perennial All-Pro, okay? Played on one of the best defenses in the history of the game. And year after year after year after year, they overlook this guy. And there are guys that they're putting in whose numbers don't even come close to his. Now, to me, that's a travesty. I'm going to advocate for him because if people would just look at the numbers, even if you want to look at the playoffs, okay? Even if you want to look at the Pro Bowls, okay? Take the last 4 defensive backs that have gone into the Pro Football Hall of Fame and put his numbers up against theirs.
I don't see how Leroy Butler, I voted totally against Leroy Butler. No disrespect to him, Seth.
I'm not saying any names. There's a lot of those guys that I played with and played against during my time, but I'm sorry. There's no way in hell that Eric Allen should be enduring what they're putting him through. He should have been in the Hall of Fame by now.
Hey, Seth, I put on Leslie O'Neal, Cornelius Bennett, you, and Eric Allen were the guys that I've gotten to so far, because I don't know how Leslie O'Neal constantly has been passed over. He's one of the best pass rushers to ever do it. And Cornelius Bennett, they penalized him because he lost 5 Super Bowls, but he was a linchpin on that Bills defense along with Bruce and Darryl Talley. And, you know, I talk to Talley all the time, and he goes, who's the other linebacker you put? And I go, I'm putting Seth Joyner. And Darryl Talley told me this. He goes, Seth Joyner's not in the Hall of Fame? And I go, no, he's not.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you're going to penalize Darryl Talley for losing 4 Super Bowls, but you have Bruce Smith in, Andre Reed in, Thurman Thomas in,
Jim Kelly
in,
Marv Levy,
and
Andre Reed.
And I'm trying to think, there's one other that I'm missing. But you got all of those guys in, and you're going to tell me what? Because if he wasn't one of the top defensive players on that defense that got them to 4 Super Bowls, how do you leave that guy off? I think he's got something like 70 sacks as an outside linebacker. Come on, man.
Absolutely. Hey, Seth, I can't wait to watch you on the post-game show on Sunday. Thank you so much for taking the time that you always do with me, man. And again, man, I'm an advocate of yours, and we're going to try to see how far we can take this thing next year. So I'll keep you updated. I'll send you some text messages from Jarrett Bell and these guys. They're going to be pushing for you for this year. And I know you don't talk about it, and I know that's not high on your agenda, but hey, Seth, I love you, man. I'll talk to you down the line. Watch you Sunday. Thank you, my friend.
You got it, Dan. Take care, man.
You bet, man. That is the great Seth Joyner, and I did. You know, you guys see it all the time when the Hall of Famers come on. I go, how's Seth Joyner not on this list? And he goes, are you advocating for him? And I told Jared Bell, yeah, I'm going to put him on my list this coming offseason here to have him being considered, and I think Eric Allen too. And they go, ask me, do you not like Leroy Butler? I go, I think it was a travesty that Leroy Butler got into the Hall of Fame over. And by the way, no disrespect, Sam Mills is not a better linebacker than Seth Joyner. I have nothing but great respect for Sam. Sam is a guy who was an overachiever. He did USFL, all that stuff. I love Sam. Hey, keep pounding is a theme down in Carolina because of Sam Mills, but he's not a better linebacker than Seth Joyner. And some of these guys fall through the cracks. Dennis Hara, 9-time Pro Bowler with the Rams, not in. Okay, guys. Let me take a timeout. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Mess & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Mess & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
My name is Fran Salerno. I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
Since 1977, it's always been about you, the community, at Rafferty Subaru. And through the Subaru Love Promise, we prove we care by supporting charities like So Good Now.
So Good Now helps kids in under-resourced areas by connecting them with student athletes to serve as mentors. We remove barriers so athletes can help youth in the corners of our communities where light and love are needed most.
When you choose Rafferty Subaru, you help organizations like So Good Now.
It's all about you at Rafferty Subaru.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Post-game show with Seth Joyner.
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn.
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney.
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
And Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post-game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
National Football Show. Welcome aboard. Want to thank my friend Seth Joyner for joining us for all that time. There's guys that belong in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that don't get enough love. Dennis Harris made 7 or 8 Pro Bowls. How do you not have Cornelius Bennett in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? If Derek Thomas is the greatest pass rusher in the history of Alabama football for an NFL player, Cornelius Bennett was a better linebacker overall than Derek Thomas. He's a better player. He played the run better. Derek Thomas was a sensational pass rusher. Sensational. But he wasn't the player Bennett was. Cornelius is a 6-time Pro Bowler, won 5 conference championships, was a consensus All-American at Alabama, and the Southeastern Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Nothing changed. And he's a man of God, and I love him. He's one of my dear friends. I love Cornelius Bennett. Biscuit is one of the top 5 players in the history of Alabama football. You see this kid, Will Anderson, they have coming out this year? If he's anything remotely close to Derek Thomas or Cornelius Bennett, he'll have a Hall of Fame career. Will Anderson is the best player that Nick Saban has ever coached, but he's still not better than Bennett and Derek Thomas. Okay? That's a different animal. Those are different guys. Micah Parsons, really fine ball player. LT? Dude, he's not Cornelius Bennett. He's not Cornelius Bennett. The guys, I could sit here and pound my chest constantly here on this. Please hit the like button here. Want to thank Seth for joining us here. Dank, I do think Will is going to be a fine ball player. Seals, do you think Dan Quinn will take the Broncos job if they get the – man, why would the Broncos hire a defensive guy? They need an offensive guru coach in that place. And by the way, Sean Payton is not the guy in Denver. Sean Payton's getting a Texans job. You know why? Here, get this, guys. John Gruden went for 2 1s and a second-round pick. When the Buccaneers traded with the Raiders for John Gruden, it was 2 1s and a second. The Saints have his ass for the next 2 years. Sean's interviewing Well, you better clear that with the Saints. Now, unless he has some sort of deal worked out with the Saints and Mickey Loomis and the Benson family, this all goes back to the Eagles. The Eagles in the 10th pick, they are the reason that they're going to hold the team hostage to try to get draft choices back for Sean Payton. Mickey Loomis lost the 10th pick in the draft. He lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Dude, it's not been a very good offseason for Mickey Loomis. And really, Howie is the guy that took advantage of him. Howie Roseman almost got Alvin Kamara as well. But you know what? Mickey Loomis, the GM of the Saints, wanted his one back for him. He goes, I'm not giving you a one for Alvin Kamara, as good as Kamara is. Because remember, first when Christian McCaffrey in Carolina, they wanted too much, and the 49ers gave him a boatload of picks. Howie wasn't going to go down there. I'm not giving you the 10th pick for Alvin Kamara. That's not going to happen. And that's why they went from McCaffrey to Kamara, and they weren't able to land that dual threat guy in the backfield. Because Miles Sanders is the reason Howie Roseman is moving off of Miles Sanders is because he wants McCaffrey or Kamara. That's what he wants. He doesn't want a situational running back. That's why it doesn't fit in the offensive game plan most of the time. You can trade for a coach? Absolutely. Coaches are traded all the time. Don Shula was traded from Baltimore to the Miami Dolphins. John Gruden was traded from the Raiders to the Buccaneers. Yes, compensation. Absolutely. Dude, so what's Sean Payton going to command? Surely 2-1. I mean, the Saints are going to want a John Gruden deal. 2 1s in a second. That's where they're going to start. Okay, that's where they're going to start. That's what John Gruden, that's what the Bucs had to give up for Gruden, was 2 1s and a second-round pick. Well, okay. No, Dungy was fired with the Bucs. Wasn't a trade. Dungy got fired in Tampa because Tony's situation, Chris, was different. Tony got fired because he wouldn't fire Clyde Christensen. I was there. And Tony wanted more say over the coaching staff, and the Buccaneers wanted him to bring a coordinator in that was better because they had that championship defense. Tony was very loyal to his coaching staff, and Clyde Christensen was his offensive coordinator, and he was not going to move off him. So the Glazers, and I think I can't remember who the general manager was. I think it was Rich McKay. I think it was Rich, and they all came to an agreement. It was time to move on then, and that's when they made the deal with the Raiders to get – no, I know what happened. McKay went to the Atlanta Falcons. Bruce Allen became the general manager of the Bucs, and they made the trade to get John Gruden from the Oakland Raiders to the Buccaneers. That's how the whole thing worked. That's how Gruden got traded to the Bucs. Yeah, I mean, Tony was so hard-headed with his coaching staff. Well, it's loyal. I mean, it's loyalty. And quite frankly, I love Coach Dungy. But again, you know, you win one Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. I don't know if that's Hall of Fame status. You know, is that a Hall of Famer? Is Brian Billick a Hall of Famer? I don't know. I mean, right? Is John Gruden a Hall of Famer? He's got a Super Bowl too. And Coach wasn't the first minority to win a Super Bowl. Tom Flores was. He won 2 of them too, by the way. So, I mean, it's however you want to dissect it. So, yeah. Let me throw this topic at you here. Will the Eagles be able to close out the Giants Saturday night? Will they be able to close out the Giants? That's been kind of an Achilles heel with this football team all year. Has been closing teams out. Even when they were running and they were doing everything great in September and October, closing games out. Okay? And now you got an injured quarterback. How are you? I'm telling you, the key to this game and the key to this football game Saturday night is the health of Jalen Hurts. Remember one of the comments we made here? I don't think it's anything else. I don't really think is there any bigger question mark for the Eagles? Remember, I wrote eight things on like the Bills. Allen's got to take care of the football. Hurts' health. It starts and ends there. If Jalen is not healthy, Jalen isn't injured, look at Maniac. I got to give it to him, man. He doesn't believe he's been hurt at all. They've kind of like kept him out the last month. He doesn't. So like Maniac, you don't think he's ever been hurt. They just played this, and this is just what it is. He's never been hurt. Interesting. His health. He's never been hurt. They played a rouge on people. I love Dungy, my favorite coach of all time, my opinion. Steven, he is such a good man. I love Coach Dungy. Quality human being, turned the Buccaneer organization around. Steven, let me give you one last thing here about Coach Dungy. Coach Dungy started his career off in Tampa 0-8. Everybody kept running around going, man, this guy, I don't know if he knows what he's doing, man. I don't know. He stopped John Lynch and Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp in the hall at One Buck Place, and he goes like this to them. Listen, it's up to you guys to sell this, not me. It's up to you. You're going to be here. This is your team. We're 0-8. Play like you're 8-0. I don't care about the record. We're getting better. Players are going, we're getting better. He goes, we're getting better. I see it. Have blind faith. Tony's a really big faith man. Have blind faith in me. He took those three players with Allstott. I think Allstott was part of that group. They bought in. And they started ball in. And Coach didn't see the success there because of the Glazers. The Glazers, in my opinion, made a mistake. I think Tony did too. I think Tony did. Remember something. What was the number one thing Tony did in Indianapolis that he didn't do in Tampa? He kept Tom Moore in as offensive coordinator in Indianapolis. He was there 10 years. And that was the one thing to get the job when all those guys brought in Coach Dungy. If you keep Tom Moore, it's your job. Tom Moore was his offensive coordinator because Peyton Manning wanted him. And that's how Tony got the Colts job. He got the Colts job because he relented on the OC and kept Tom Moore in there. Tom Moore was with Peyton for 10 years. And, Bill Polian went to him. He goes, listen, I'll put as many players and Dungy players on this football team as you want. I promise you. But we have to have Tom Moore as our OC. And that was the key to getting Dungy. Dungy was out of work, I think, 6 hours. Hey, I think Tony, by the way, Yale, who was that guy that played with the Colts? That was that defensive back they had, who every time he hit somebody, he knocked them out and he knocked himself out. The kid played at Iowa. What was that guy's name? Man, I love the way he played. What was that guy's name that played for the Colts back in the day? Bob Sanders. Holy shit. Way to go, Chris. That guy was, man, one of my favorite ball players. That guy, every time he hit somebody, he broke something on him. Dude. Man. Hey, Sills, did you see Dirty Play Tom tried to pull Monday night? I did, Matthew, and they let him get away with that. Can you imagine if that was Cam Newton? Can you imagine if that was Lamar or anybody like that, or Patrick Mahomes? They'd kick his ass to the curb. Tom gets to do that shit all the time. I know. Like when he got sacked earlier in the year by the Carolina guys, kicking him and shit. I know, man. You know what Brady is? Brady's a spoiled brat, along with the guy up in Green Bay. I'm going to get back to the Giant Eagle, but let me say this to you about Aaron Rodgers. So here's the difference between Rodgers, though, and Brady. Watch this. Yeah, I'm going to take my time in deciding what I'm going to do. You know, I might want to win an MVP award. You know, I still think I can win an MVP. Oh my God. I'm watching this thing and I'm going, because I saw it on the McAfee show. I think I could still play MVP ball. How about playing championship ball? How about playing championship ball? I don't give a shit if you could play MVP ball. Kirk Cousins at times plays MVP ball. Can you play championship ball? Championships. This is a team sport, dude. You've had 30 years of crybabies in Green Bay. I'm going to come back. I'm not going to come back. I'm going to come back. I'm not going to come back. And I'm talking about Favre first. Dude, there must be some sort of disease in Wisconsin that the quarterbacks, if you're a quarterback in Green Bay, your ending ends shitty, and like you're the same guy, it seems. The only thing that's different is the number on the jersey. I'm going to come back. I'm not going to come back. I'm going to come back. I'm not going to come back. I'm going to come. I mean, dude, it's exhausting. It's got nothing to do with winning. Nothing to do with winning, man. I don't get it. What am I going to do? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? Am I not? And you're like, I don't know if you're Green Bay and he's got $60 million, it ain't 50 million, friends. It's $60 million on the table. He ain't leaving Green Bay for what? The Saints? The Saints? And what would you get for Rodgers? A third? He's 39. I'm not giving a one. Watch this. You want Aaron Rodgers? I'm not giving a one up for him. He's 39 years old in that head case. I'm not giving up a first-round draft choice for a basket case who's going to turn around and do the same shit to me the next year. And I got to pay him $60 million? No, thank you. Imagine that. I'd rather have Jalen Hurts as my starting quarterback right now than Aaron Rodgers. I'd rather have Jalen because at least I know he's not going to try to sabotage the football team, and he's going to try to win as a team. Aaron Rodgers is more about him, and it's this. I think I could play MVP ball. No shit, guy. You're being paid $60 million. I mean, hey, thanks. And by the way, the last decade, the contracts that you have had, you've not lived up to them. Oh, wait, you've won MVPs, but you haven't played championship football. That guy has not played championship football, man. Anyway, let's move on here. Back to the game on Saturday night here. Closing games out here. This is going to be the essential part of this game. If you listen to anything that Seth and I said, I think the key to this game for New York to beat the Eagles, keep the Eagle offense on the side, keep them under 63 plays for the game. You play the game that you played like you did in Minneapolis and you threaten the edges. In my opinion, I think you win this football game on Saturday night if you can. I don't think you can. I want to see Daniel Jones do it again, and I haven't seen him do it consistently enough. Now, listen, here's the difference between the Eagles and the Giants heading into Saturday night. The Giants have been playing playoff football for a month already. The Eagles have not played playoff football, and the first time they'll play playoff football will be Saturday night. That thing at the end was not playoff football against the Giant JV team. What team is going to show up Saturday night? What team is going to show up? Is it going to be the healthy September, October Eagle team? Or is it going to be the team? They're not in playoff mode. They may think it, but I don't think they haven't played playoff football yet. The Jags have. The Bills have. Who else here? The Cowboys even have. The 49ers have won 11 straight ball games. It's called momentum. The Eagles have no momentum going into this game Saturday night. None. And you know, the only thing that you can throw at me when it comes to the Eagles is their record. They're not playing with momentum. The Jags have momentum. They couldn't lose a game for 2 months. The Giants are playing with momentum. The Niners, the Cowboys, the Chiefs. The Chiefs were in a battle for home field with the Bengals and Bills. I'm telling you, we're going to find out a lot about your football team come Saturday night and your coaching staff. They have not played. Dude, I don't have to say it. The last month, you're 2-2. With a 2-game losing streak wedged in there. Good thing they're playing the Giants? I don't know about that. We'll see. Wait, man down goes, come on, Sills, you don't think they're ready? I'm going to say I do think they're ready. You know why, man down? Because they have played all year long and showed up to 16 fights. And it's the only team in the NFL that has showed up for 16 weeks for a fist fight. All these other teams, sometimes we saw terrible games by the Giants. We saw terrible games by the Niners. Even in some of the losses with the Eagles, like the Washington loss, they still showed up. They still showed up. First round bye is overrated. Matthew, I don't think so for the Eagles. I don't think Jalen Hurts and Lane Johnson would have been effective in a wild card game. I think that extra week has to be essential in the fact that they were able to get, and plus, remember this, I mean, you basically got 2 weeks to heal up there with Lane and some of these other players. I think even Miles Sanders, too. People have been talking about the fact that Miles Sanders has been injured to a point. KC's been playing like shit. I don't think KC's been playing great ball. I don't. Okay? That's why I think the 49ers are the best team in the league right now, with the best momentum heading into the divisional rounds. Okay? I think they've been playing with the most momentum. Their record dictates it. Isn't it funny? The 49ers are a reverse copy of the Eagles. You guys started out. How many games did you guys win in a row? I forget. How many games did the Eagles win in a row? How many games did they win in a row? How many was it? Was it 8? Well, the 49ers have won 11 straight now, but a playoff win. They won 11 straight ball games. They're the reverse of you. I wish I had the Eagles playing like they did in September and October heading into the playoffs, whereas the 49ers have an 11-game win streak going in. Okay? I mean, they got an 11-game win streak heading in. They have, like Yale said, they have the mojo heading into this thing here. Okay? What's Jalen's wins record again? 0-1. That's what his wins record is. 0-1. 0-1. Okay? That's what his record is. 0-1. All right, I want to take a timeout. Please hit the like button. I want to hit on some draft personnel that they could take at either 10 or down at the 32nd pick. Some of the guys that I'm hearing that the Eagles are targeting with the 10th pick and the 32nd pick. Look, I'm saying with the 32nd pick, they're probably going to win the Super Bowl here, okay? That's where they are with the best record heading into the playoffs. So they're going to be around 32. I got some players down there, and also at the 10th pick. Also, the playoffs, I want to hit on them. Some of the games this weekend. There's a ton of news here too that we're going to reset here. Do me a favor, please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
My name is Dan Sileo, and I'm Managing Director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
Since 1977, it's always been about you, the community, at Rafferty Subaru. And through the Subaru Love Promise, we prove we care by supporting charities like So Good Now.
So Good Now helps kids in under-resourced areas by connecting them with student athletes to serve as mentors. We remove barriers so athletes can help youth in the corners of our communities where light and love are needed most.
When you choose Rafferty Subaru, you help organizations like So Good Now.
It's all about you at Rafferty Subaru.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Post-game show with Seth Joyner,
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn,
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney,
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
and Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post-game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
National Football Show, please hit the like button. You guys really think that that's that wild of a take? My take on Nick Sirianni Saturday night. I go over to my Twitter page, and somebody said that that's a wild take. That if Sirianni gets bounced in the divisional round, there's not heat on Sirianni. You fired Doug Peterson. You fired Andy Reid. Coaches are not safe in Philly. They're not safe. The general manager's safe. Nick Sirianni. Here, let me ask you this. Do you think they'll give Nick Sirianni an extension in the offseason? If he gets bounced? If Sirianni gets bounced with Howie's guys, okay? His job isn't in jeopardy at all if he loses. Really? I see. Okay. Really? Philiopolis. Nick Sirianni's not a better coach than Doug Peterson, and he fired Doug. That's Howie's team. It's not Sirianni's team. That's Howie's guys, his coaches, his free agents, his picks. Jalen's his guy. Jalen's not Nick Sirianni's guy. So if you take somebody, watch this. That's like doing this. I'm going to give you the greatest, fastest car on the planet. Say I'm Ferrari and I'm doing the 24 hours of Le Mans and I got the fastest cars and the best cars in the world. I put a driver in. That guy shits the bed and hits the wall. Are you bringing that guy back or are you getting a new driver? It ain't me. My team's great. I got the best of everything. We're Ferrari, dude. Howie looks at himself like he's Enzo Ferrari. I got the best receivers. I got the best O-line. I got a Pro Bowl running back. I got a Pro Bowl tight end. My defense got 70 sacks. But if your jockey doesn't get around Churchill Downs, you keeping the same jockey? Interesting. Terrible topic. How is that? So if he effing loses that game, he's okay? Wait. So he's okay with an ownership in a front office that has fired everybody in the past who have had massive success. They fired a guy who did something no coach in the history of the Super Bowl era did. But Nick Sirianni's safe. Because why? Empty calorie wins during the season? So look at what Philiopolis says. Philiopolis thinks he's won the world championship already because of the regular season they had. That's been my argument all year. Who gives a shit about the record? I care about the Lombardi trophy. That's the problem you had back with Donovan McNabb. Donovan's a great player. No, yeah, really? He didn't do anything. Look at this guy. Seals, new topic, please. Whoa. Don't hit a nerve with anybody. Because anytime you bring up a person's behavior and how they see the... Dude, so Howie will take the complete... If that team loses, it's Howie's fault. I'm an Eagle fan, and Sirianni's so cringe. Think of this. Hey, Philiopolis, whatever. Your takes blow. Anyway, this has been the behavior of the organization for 20 years. 20 years. They fire quality people. Fire quality people. Oh man, I'll tell you this. Okay? I'll tell you this. Philiopolis, we're good, dude. You know me. Big Sills, Italians got to be going here. It's all good, brother. Hey, Sirianni loses and Doug wins and upsets the Chiefs. No, but then again, the Inquirer's turning into a snowflake rag anyway. It'll be Excuse City on that thing because they don't want to lose their access to the NovaCare Center. So they'll make sure they come up with some snowflake New York Times headline to tell you that this guy's good and that guy sucks. And, you know, they'll do that. The Inquirer is the 2.0 version of the New York Times. New York Times put out story after story, won a Pulitzer Prize for a lie. I mean, you can't get any better than that today in journalism. You tell a lie, you win a Pulitzer for telling a lie. I thought that thing meant something. Dude, this is Howie's team. It's not Nick's. See, that's my point. I don't think it's a wild take. I thought it was wild you fired Doug. Okay? So what's the convo? Here, my guy Philiopolis. So what is the convo going to be after the Eagles whip the Giants' ass? Congratulations for doing your job. You're the number 1 seed. Act like it. That's what the conversation will be. Congratulations, you beat the Giants. You are the top seed in the NFC playoffs for a reason, I thought. You keep throwing the record at me. I mean, what do you want? Pats on the back? Congratulations, you beat the Giants. Good. Fantastic. Got to do what's expected. Aren't you expecting them to win the championship? Or are you hoping? You guys sound, some of you, like you're hoping. So predictable? What's predictable about being the top seed versus the 6th seed? There's a reason they, put them in order. Man, some of you guys, you cheer from the top deck. Yeah, it's quite classic. I'm going to do the draft picks at the top of the hour here. The 10th pick and the 32nd. We'll do that. Okay? Seals, did you see that the Giants are already complaining about the quarterback sneaks? That's fabulous. Let them complain. Let them complain. Also, hey, I think you guys already have 2 up on the Giants. Can I tell you where you are? Hey, watch this. So now you got Dexter Lawrence going, I can't have my mom come to the stadium because I'm afraid of Eagle fans. And now they're worried about the quarterback sneak. Hoss, if I were you guys, I'd shut my face, man. You sound stupid. The Giants sound stupid. Those are all things that have no bearing on what the game is going to look like Saturday night. Who gives a shit? I don't care if you sneak the ball all night long. I'm going to beat you. Hey, watch out for the rabbit punches. Hey, make sure he doesn't go into clenches. This is a fist fight, guy. I'll pick up the ring corner chair and hit you in the head with it if I have to. I mean, dude, no holds barred. You know that chair you sit on in the corner? I'll pick that bitch up and hit you in the face with it if I have to win a game. There's no rules in a fight. This is a fight Saturday night. Oh, watch out for the quarterback sneak. I'd be like, watch out for the quarterback sneak. I got more than the quarterback sneak for you, Junior. Wait till you see Jordan Mailata do the pancake on you. You know what the pancake is? Well, we're about to introduce that to you. Hey, we're about to introduce that to you real quick. It is just not and I know he's as big as an international house of pancakes, Jordan Mailata. But there's special servings that they have on the menu now. It's called a Mailata pancake. Okay? He picks you up, he flings you down, then he drops 393 pounds on you. And you look like a pancake, waffled, Belgian style. Thank you. Try that out. Yeah, it's on page 3. The Mailata pancake. Unbelievable. No maple syrup either. Strawberry syrup too, man. The Australians like strawberry. Talk about quarterback sneaks. Hey, watch out for the quarterback sneak. How about when I pick a chair up and hit you in the face with it? And by the way, don't come over to the sideline because I will clothesline you if you cross the line over there. I'm sorry, man. That's how Jerome and I thought. That's how kind of we were. If you ever see my rant, that's kind of like what that is. That's how we thought, though, man. That's how you have to fight. This is a fist fight, man. This is a fist fight. Yeah, give me the Mailata pancake. Yeah, Australian strawberry syrup, please. The extra sticky kind. Because when I throw you down, you won't get me off you. Because I am 6'7". What am I, 7'5"? This guy looks like Andre the Giant playing offensive tackle. Looks like, hey, what? He goes, his big ass gets a flag by pancake. Dude, he's a big one, man. Maniac, I like that. Oh, man. The Jordan Mailata is a huge – dude, he is a rock star. I love him, man. My daughter's a rugby player. and that's her favorite player is Jordan Mailata. Yeah, Mailata, man. My daughter's the captain of her rugby team, and she just loves Jordan Mailata, man. She watches the guy. All right, I want to reset. Oh, wait. Not the Nick Sirianni topic, though, because some of you get your little panties in a bind. It's all right because, I'm here to help, and I don't want to hurt people's feelings. So we'll take a look at some of the draft. We'll also take a look at some of the games for this weekend. There's a ton of shit to hit on here, man. A lot of NFL news. Hey, Jerry Jones is in front of the mic more so than Mike McCarthy. I've never seen Mike McCarthy in front of a mic since he left Green Bay. I don't know. Hour number 3. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Mess & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Mess & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
My name is Dan Sileo, and I'm Managing Director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
Since 1977, it's always been about you, the community, at Rafferty Subaru. And through the Subaru Love Promise, we prove we care by supporting charities like So Good Now.
So Good Now helps kids in under-resourced areas by connecting them with student athletes to serve as mentors. We remove barriers so athletes can help youth in the corners of our communities where light and love are needed most.
When you choose Rafferty Subaru, you help organizations like So Good Now.
It's all about you at Rafferty Subaru.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Game Show with Seth Joyner.
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn.
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney.
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
And Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
National Football Show. I just checked out my Twitter page. JAKIB, will you please fire this guy? He's saying bad things on his show. I can't believe that this guy yeah, what do you mean? Here. I could do this. Eagles are the greatest team of all time. No one's ever going to beat them. They're the best thing I've ever seen. Nobody. I mean, it's unbelievable. Oh, my God. The general manager's unbelievable. He's better than Ozzie Newsome. Oh, my God. He's wonderful. You got to get him off the air. Yeah, because you used to listen to stiffs on the radio all the time. That's the problem, and you're used to that rag now in Philly now. The Inquirer is not what it once was. The Inquirer now. You know what it is? It's like a newsletter and propaganda for the sports teams because they advertise with them. I get it. It's business. I'm not. Hey, I get that. Some of them articles, though, man, I'll tell you this. Yeah, like the guy, hey, real quick, how many people had a problem with the hockey dude not wanting to support the lesbian community? You can't prosecute a guy or say anything against a guy. He's got religious rights, too. And if he's a Ukrainian guy who's a Greek Orthodox and he has his beliefs, that's against the law. The NHL has no right to put that position legally. You have no right. These sports leagues that act like arms of a political agenda are over the top today. I'll tell you one thing I give the NFL credit. They got away from that shit. And it's why. Did you see how many people watched the Buccaneer Cowboy blowout? 30 million. What was the number? What was the number? For that Sunday night or Monday night shitty game, 30.6 people watched that game, and it was never close. The Cowboys blew them out. 30 million people. Dude, the NBA couldn't put 10 games together to get 30 million people on a Monday night. You couldn't put 10 teams. 5 stars. Oh, no. Nobody's in trouble, bro. That's why we stay on the rail of sports here. Because more people, nobody comes here for that. My wife says that to me all the time. Xander's constantly making sure. I don't have a political agenda. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care what your sexuality is. But don't force your shit on me. And I won't you. Fair? Do we have a deal? You don't force your shit on me. I won't force it on you. But don't put me in a box because it's not fair to me. Or the people I work with or the people that are my family. I don't think it's fair to anybody in any business. Just don't believe that is a place in society. Right? Our political beliefs have no place here. I judge you on being a shitty sports fan or a good one or not. Not because you're Republican or Democrat or you believe in gay rights or what have you. It's got nothing to do with me. I like Republicans. I like Democrats. I like independents. I like everybody. I hate tools like you guys. Okay? You don't force your shit on me, I won't you. I swear to God. I don't come here to try to have you pick, like the NBA does, who to run for president. That's dumb. Nobody wants to hear it. All right. Eagles. I want to do some draft guys that I'll tell you one thing that I am a big fan of. I am a big fan of the NFL draft. I love the draft. Can I tell you why I think I love? Thanks, Maniac. I think the reason I love the draft is because I love college football. And I watch a ton of college football. And I vote on the top 25, All-American teams, the Heisman Trophy, all of that shit. So I do all of that, okay? And I think it's because, I love college football. College football, to me, I just love it. Okay? Maniac, you're a tool too. Okay? Watch this. Can I say this and be okay with my sexuality, my man card? Maniac, you're one of my favorite tools. Is that okay? I think. Is that appropriate, or did I just get my man card revoked for about 20 minutes? I'm not sure, right? All right. Let's take a look. I have the Eagles 10th and the 32nd pick. Okay? The 10th and the 32nd pick. That's where we're going here, okay? Don't judge me. Don't judge me on tools. Oh, I think we should move on. Yeah. Okay. Eagles prospects at 10. This kid, Devon Witherspoon, cornerback, Illinois. He's a Bob Sanders. Okay? 6 foot, 195. Corner. Here's why I start at 10 with corner. You're going to let someone go. Bradbury or CJ, you're letting one of those two guys go. Who would you let go? CJ or Bradbury? Or would you trade Darius Slay? Well, you can. How old is Darius Slay? Let me take a look at that. How old is Darius Slay? He's 32. How much is Darius Slay expected to make in 2023? Okay.
In 2023, Slay will earn a base salary of $17 million and a workout bonus of $500,000.
Okay.
While carrying a cap hit of $26,111,000.
This is pretty. You're not getting rid of Slay's $17 million. Slay is $17 million with a $500,000 workout bonus. It's a cap hit of $26.11 million in 2023. Now, the big thing about today, you can defer a lot of this money out with the new collective bargaining agreement. So it doesn't fall on your cap. You can defer the money on the cap hit. You could defer it out over 20 years now. You could right, Wick. That's right, Wick. You can restructure if you're going to move him. It would probably have to be something like a restructure and then trade. Because I don't think a team is going to trade for him and then all of a sudden Slay's going to go, yeah, let's rework our deal. It's probably going to have to be reworked prior to him being dealt. Now, because Slay has been such a good player, I'm not going to send him to the Texans. Well, maybe I would. The Texans have draft capital. They need players. They need players. I'm going to make trades with teams that have draft capital. Like, I'm not making a deal to send Darius Slay unless it's a player to the Denver Broncos. I'm not doing it, especially with Patrick Surtain on a rookie contract still. Okay, so to me, I don't know. But to me, I think you got to start with the cornerback position. What do you, because you've, as good as Howie was with getting guys on the football team, his undoing is going to be he can't keep them all now. Success has a price tag too. Okay, Slay is going to make $17 million. Bradbury's going to make $17 million in the open market. Watch this. You're going to be stunned when you see this. What is C.J. Gardner-Johnson's 2022 base salary?
According to Spatrack.com, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson signed a 4-year, $3,304,100 contract with the New Orleans Saints, including a $784,100 signing bonus, $784,100 guaranteed, and an average annual salary of $826,025.
That guy makes $826,000? If you think Jalen Hurts is in for a pay raise, what is the projected cap No, not. What is the projected franchise tag for a cornerback in 2023?
Here's information from Over the Cap.
It's projected at $18 million. CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to go from $836,000 to $18 million for a guy who was the co-interception leader in the league. You can't keep him. There's no way Howie is going to pay this guy $10 million $10 million up his pay $10 million bucks. What is Bradbury's base salary in 2022? What is James Bradbury's base salary in 2022?
$1,035,000, according to some information I found on Spatrack.com.
Whoa. That can't be right. It's got to be $10 million. What is Eagles cornerback James Bradbury's base 2022 pay?
Here is information from Spatrack.com.
How can it be $1 million? Base. Oh, it's base. No wonder they gave him a $9 million signing bonus. His base salary is $1 million. The other guy next to him is making $830. Boy, that's $36 million for two dudes. $36 million. They're going to get market value. You know why? They're 26 and 27. They're in the prime of their careers. Okay? Whew, wow. And you got Slay at 32 making $18 million. So think about that. Howie's going to go here? $56 million for us. He's going to pay 56. Now, wait a minute now. Here. He paid $30 million for his two tackles. 14-4 for Cox and 12-9 for Javon Hargrave, who he's offered a $51 million 3-year deal contract to. That's not going to cut it, my friends. He's a 5th-ranked free agent, Javon Hargrave. You needed to be up there 65-70 for 3 years. He's going to get, in my opinion, he's going to probably get $16 million. That sounds around right. 16 from 12. He's not a $20 million guy. So that 3 years, 51 sounds right. At 16. 16 and a half. That sounds right. That sounds right. I would do that. I would do 3 years. I would do 3 years, $51 million for Javon Hargrave. But look at that. Okay, you're talking about Javon Hargrave in a $51 million deal. What are you signing these guys to? Are you going to sign them to long-term contracts so that you could defer the money out with the dead cap stuff? That's why a guy like Devon Witherspoon, you get a guy on a rookie contract and you plug him in back there, you can let one of these guys go and not hurt the integrity of your salary cap. This is going to be interesting how he but then again, this is Howie Roseman at his finest. Okay? This is Howie at his finest here. He's going to use the cap equity that he has with the draft coming up, and the key to this is, but see, this is why this is not a dynasty. This is not a football team built for the future. This is the future. What's the future in the NFL today? 2 years? 3 years? What they did in New England is unprecedented. I think we all have to come to grips with that. No one's going to have a 20-year run anymore. That's just not going to work like that. Especially when now free agency is such a play. And teams like the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Rams won Super Bowls in free agency and really not the draft. Jalen Ramsey, was a asset of the Jaguars, and the Rams sent 3 first-rounders down to Jacksonville. That's how they were in the position they're in right now, is because of the Jalen Ramsey deal. Okay? Yale goes, you could say that about all teams. Yeah, except the Steelers. The Steelers have to figure out their quarterback situation. The Steelers are the only team that don't dive heavily into free agency. They just don't. That's not who they are. They believe in player development. They believe in, and quite frankly, one thing too, yeah, when you have a franchise quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City doesn't have to sit around and they can draft guys all left and right because the quarterback covers all kinds of holes. If you don't have a good running back, doesn't matter. The quarterback will throw you out of trouble. That's why having a franchise guy like that is important. That's why a dual threat guy has to have all the see, building a team for Jalen is way more difficult than building a team for Mahomes. You don't have to have the elite guys. You have to have elite guys in Jalen's offense. Or it's not an offense. You follow me? Jalen Hurts with less elite talent last year was common. They put elite talent around him this year. And A.J. Brown, he played magnificent. But if he doesn't, it's tougher to build a team. You got to have all your millionaires are in your O-line, not in Kansas City. They got about 2 guys up there. Kansas City doesn't have the greatest O-line. The quarterback makes it great. Okay? The quarterback. Like you start taking components off the Hurts team, they're not going to be as good. You take Tyreek Hill off of Kansas City, they're as, if not better. Like, watch this. If you took A.J. Brown off the Eagles, you think the Eagles are better or worse? If you take Tyreek Hill off Kansas City, they got home field. Quarterback broke all kinds of passing records. Going to win another MVP, an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. That team didn't take a step back. That team doesn't take a step back because of the quarterback and coach. They cover holes on your team. When you don't have one of those dudes, like look at Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has elite skilled guys. His offensive line, Joe Burrow covers the shitty O-line. And he could take you to a Super Bowl. That's the difference. Sign CJ, trade Slay, draft Porter, and sign a cornerback. I'm going to continue this here. Can I throw this at you here? Just a question. In the offseason, the Bills, or not the Bills, the Bengals are going to start working on a contract extension for Joe Burrow. What do you think the offering price will be? What do you think the price will be? What do you think they throw at him? What do you think the base salary will be for Joe Burrow on his contract extension? Knowing that Aaron Rodgers makes 50. Never 45. Never happen. Never. He won't be a Bengal then. 55 million? Now we're starting to get somewhere. 300 million? 500 guaranteed? Jesse, remember we're talking Bengals here. Okay? Remember, we're talking Bengals. 48 million a year. I think that's low. They won't be able to sign any free agent. Yale, you're going to have to construct a deal like Holmes has where you can constantly restructure contracts. You're going to have that deal. Eagle fan? Absolutely. But Eagle, are you going to let Joe Burrow walk out the door, knowing full well that guy is going to keep you relevant? Can you guys follow me here on how important Joe Burrow is? And I promise I'm going to get back to the prospects here. January 18th, you and me and all the football fans are talking about 2 teams we don't talk about until April. The Jags and the Bengals. When in the last 30 years have you talked about those two teams in January? Honestly, the Bengals and the Jags are better than the Steelers and the Packers? Since when? In my lifetime, you could have sewed my head to the floor. The Bengals and the Jags are more relevant than the Packers and the Steelers. How insane is that? The Bengals have a better future than the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is an incredible take. What? I can't believe I just said that. I can't believe I just said that. I am really, man. Wait a minute. Okay, the Jags have a better future than the Steelers. And so do the Bengals. What? Yeah, Dank, I can promise you this, though, Dank. The Jags and the Bengals weren't battling it out then in 7. Oh, they may have, because Andy Dalton did get him in there a little bit, didn't he? There was some winning. But, dude, we're talking Andy Dalton versus Joe Burrow. Blake Bortles. I actually think Blake Bortles beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh, didn't he? He threw for like 500 freaking yards in a playoff game. Am I right? Did I make up? Didn't Blake Bortles throw for like 500 yards in a playoff game against the Mike Tomlin Steelers? Hey, Panama Queen, a 49er team. How'd you like to be John Lynch? John Lynch is going to do this to Baltimore. Tell you what I'll do. I'll send Trey Lance to Baltimore. You want him, you can have him for a first round if Lamar decides to bolt. You already got the team built for it. Just put him in there. See what he can do. I'll trade him to you because we're hanging with my boy here. Okay? When you do that, okay, $58 million for Joe Burrow. You think Cincinnati comes out of the gate with? 55 to $58 million contract extension. Man, I couldn't do 5 years on something like that. I mean, man, hey, maybe I can. I don't know. 5 years, $55 million. Holy shit, man. Thank you, Panama. Appreciate it. How about the next guy on the list? Tyree Wilson. Can I tell you the reason why I constantly throw these prospects at you? Because Bledsoe re-ranks and they resend out names that projected prospects could land in a particular team and in a particular city. And this is the third list I've thrown at you with his name on it. This Texas Tech edge rusher, Tyree Wilson, 6'6", 275. Another guy. This is around the 10th pick. Here's another guy, Lucas Van Ness, edge rusher, Iowa. It's the first time he's been on the list, 6'5", 275. Got two edge rushers and a corner, the kid Devon Witherspoon. I saw him against Michigan, this kid Witherspoon. I loved him immediately. I put him on all my All-American teams. He is a good-looking ball player. Of all the players so far, he's the guy that I love the most. And here's the second time that this player's name has popped up on the Eagles' 10th pick. Paris Johnson, offensive line, Ohio State, 6'6", 310. Ohio State can't produce quarterbacks, but they can produce O-linemen and D-linemen. They are a hub. They are a machine. I'll tell you something, in my opinion, this is where Alabama is no longer Alabama. Alabama doesn't produce O-linemen anymore. I think that kid Neal in New York, he struggles. I haven't seen a dominant offensive lineman come out of Alabama in a bit. It's wide receivers, it's DBs, it's running backs, quarterback. I'll tell you what, they produce more quarterbacks over the last couple drafts than they have O-linemen. And this is why I think you're starting to see Alabama get beat by what? The team that's getting the D lineman and O lineman, Georgia. It's almost done a complete flip here over the last 3 years. Georgia looks like Alabama now. Okay? Stenson Bennett is nowhere near Bryce Young, but you don't have to have Bryce Young in Georgia because you have the front line guys, the D linemen and the offensive tackles and guards. That's how they're beating Bama. They're beating Bama with their own game. Okay? I mean, okay, Landon Dickerson, give me another guy in the last 10 years that's been a Pro Bowl guy from Alabama. How about the last 5 years? Give me another one besides Landon. And remember something, you guys can pick out one guy all you want. Okay? I'm talking about going to a place and picking out guys consistently. Georgia is producing linemen. Alabama's not. The kid Leatherwood is a complete fart with the Raiders. Okay? You name me Landon Dickerson. Great. Give me another one. I'll wait. Okay. There isn't anyone. Name me a defensive lineman that they've produced since Jonathan Allen. Am I right when Evan Neal, he's struggling. Hey, by the way, Dexter Lawrence is a Clemson kid. Am I right? He's not a Bama guy, is he? I think he's a Clemson guy. Quentin Williams is a good ball player, the Jets kid. Okay? He's a good ball player. Evan Neal, I think he's having a tough year. I thought he had his hands full against the Minnesota Vikings. Okay? I tell you what, I think Evan Neal, if I'm Jonathan Gannon, I put my best pass rusher on Evan Neal because that guy looked like a turnstile. Okay? He looked like a turnstile in that Minnesota game. I didn't think he played very well. I didn't see Quentin Williams, Greg. Quentin Williams, a good ball player. Very good ball player. Okay? Okay. I'm not talking all the time. I said last 3 years. All right. Yeah, hey, if I'm Jonathan Gannon, I'd run games on that guy all day long. Dexter Lawrence, a Clemson kid. Dude, Clemson's got another shitload of dudes. As a matter of fact, I got one that the Eagles might want to take a look at. So for the 10th pick, Devon Witherspoon, Illinois cornerback. Tyree Wilson, Texas Tech, edge rusher. Lucas Van Ness, Iowa. I think he's pretty good. I'll tell you what, the kid from Purdue in Kansas City's, what's his name? Kafnick? What's his name? I forget the kid's name. The kid from Purdue is turning out to be a pretty good-looking ball player. Okay? The kid's turning out to be a pretty good-looking ball player, man. And I got Paris Johnson, Ohio State, 6'6", 310 offensive lineman. Can never go wrong with a good lineman there, man. All right. Now for the 32nd. 2 picks in the first round. By the way, let me ask you this. Before we go down to 32, if you're Howie, and you've got to re-sign a lot of free agents, would you trade down from the 10th pick to create more draft equity? If you're picking 10, you're paying a guaranteed $40 million to a 10th pick. And because Jalen played so well, do you trade down? Yeah, George Kalafdis, The kid's played really well for the Kansas City Chiefs this year. He's played really well. Would you trade down because the reason he got 2 first-round draft choices is because he may have had to trade up to get a quarterback. That's kind of been answered. Okay? Unless something dramatic happens on Saturday night, that's kind of been answered. My question to you guys, would you trade down and in the process trade down to get another first-round draft choice the following year? Because who knows how they're going to handle the Jalen Hurts contract. Are you going to let Jalen go into his final season not with a contract? Are you going to give him a 1-year contract extension added onto the rookie deal? Okay? And then you don't get tied into anything. I don't think Clutch would go for a 1-year extension. That's not what they're going to be in the business for. They'd rather play that out then. Why would I tie myself into a 1-year deal? What if Jalen does win the MVP next year? But then Jalen's got to look at it this way. Because next year, if he's on that rookie contract, you're pretty much going to have the same team back. Or it's going to look a little different because guys are going to want to go out in the market and test the market. Okay. Would you trade down? 2 1s next year. Okay. Trade down into this draft. Somebody's going to panic at 10. Somebody's going to fall. Howie's sitting there at 10. He's pretty good at making deals. He's not the greatest drafter, but he's pretty good at making deals. You sit there at 10. You wait and see who falls. Because let's take a look. The Bears aren't going to draft a quarterback. I think they should. I would package up Justin Fields, send him to Baltimore. Okay? Send him to Baltimore. And I'll take Lamar. Lamar in Chicago. Then the Bears could give him a contract. Bears got some moves there at 1. Okay? Or you trade and you see who wants Justin Fields. You may get a 1. You might get a 1 for him, a late 1. And then what you do is you trade him and you draft Bryce Young. And you get more first-round draft choices. You trade Justin Fields to New Orleans. Right? The Bears have some moves. They got to really think this out clearly. That first pick, are you damn sure that Fields is going to get the passing game? Now, if you're the Bears, do you go get DeAndre Hopkins? Put Hopkins on that team? He ain't going to be cheap. They're willing to trade him, Arizona. To me, DeAndre Hopkins, watch this. How's DeAndre Hopkins not look like A.J. Brown in Chicago to Jalen Hurts like they have in Philly? Or DeAndre Hopkins to New York for Daniel Jones. I think that makes more sense. And that's what I put on my Twitter page. I think Hopkins is going to New York. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to New York, and they're going to build around Daniel Jones. Okay? DeAndre Hopkins is a spectacular football player. D-Hop getting old? That's a good selling pitch. How old is he? Age is important. It is. How old is DeAndre Hopkins? He's 30. You're right there, aren't you? What would I give up for him? I'm not giving a 1 up for him. I might give a 3. I'm not giving a 1. 30 years old? If he's 26, I give a 1. But 30? No. AJ's 25? Not happening. AJ's got 10 times more upside than DeAndre Hopkins, even though Hopkins is a really good player. Okay? You're 30 years old. You're starting to get on the back nine. You know what I mean? You're 30 years old. You're on the back nine, and it's a big decision on how you're gonna move forward. And that's why Arizona's moving him, because right now you're going to catch teams that are panicking, and they're going to go, well, he's 30. He still has some gas. Let's get him now. And it's good to move him now. Okay? It is. It's the right. You can't move him at 32 for equity. 32-year-old wide receiver. You're getting a fifth rounder for him. 32. I'm going to throw a name at you. And again, we're looking at some of the draft guys here at 10. We just looked at 10, and now we're at 32. Would you entertain this at 32? Bijan Robinson, Texas, running back, 6 foot 220. 32, last player taken in the first round. I don't want to draft a running back in the first round, but that's going to be a need on the team. And you get a running back on a rookie deal. A running back at 32, last pick in the first round. Not in the middle, not in the 20s. He's 32. And he's on a rookie deal. Okay? Signing bonus is going to be pretty significant, but his base is going to be around 1.4. You can live with that, especially when you have to pay so many premium guys in your back end of your defense. The kid's a good ball player. He's going to be the first back taken, and that's a need. Or do you want to wait, watch this. So I see some of you always go like this. Well, how about Josh Jacobs, an Eagle? Dude, that's going to be a $10 to $12 million investment. Why would Howie do that when you can draft a guy like this who might give you the same production? Hey, look at that Gator kid that the Texans got. I mean, that Gator kid that the Texans got is a steal. That's a steal of a player in the draft. Even the kid Walker up in Seattle was a steal. That kid in Seattle's a steal. That kid, I don't think that kid Walker was a first rounder, right? He's going to be the offensive rookie of the year in the NFL. The kid's a damn good ball player, man. Dude, that kid in Houston is a good back to build your offense around if you get a quarterback in the building down there. That's what I'm saying. If you're Chicago, you call up the Texans, you send them down there, you got a running back behind him. You're going to need a running game. Okay, you send Fields down there, and then you get draft picks. They got the equity from Cleveland. And that might get Sean Payton. Dameon Pierce, a hell of a ball player. Here's another guy. This is for the 32nd pick. Andrew Voorhees, USC O-line, 6'6", 325. This is the second O-lineman I'm talking about for the Eagles. This is who they are. This is who they are. And if you're going to be a running team with a quarterback that's dual threat, you need to keep looking at the horse ponies. You know what I'm saying? You need to keep looking at the show ponies. You know how you go every year, you're looking for that thoroughbred to run in the Kentucky Derby? Okay? You need to look at the show ponies all the time. You need to go there. You need to pick out a guy. You need to keep looking. Lane Johnson's heir apparent. You're going to lose Isaac Seumalo. You're going to, you know what I mean? Eventually you got a replacement at center. You got to keep what's made this organization the best organization in the NFC East has been their commitment in the lines, especially the O-line. That's why I got Johnson, Ohio State in the top 10. And I got this kid, Andrew Voorhees from USC. USC produces O-linemen. They're littered in the Hall of Fame. Okay? They're littered. I got Miles Murphy down here. Some would go, Sills, the D lineman, we just drafted Jordan Davis. I know you did. What if you want to move off of not Jordan Davis? What if you want to move off of Javon Hargrave too? And say Hargrave wants to test free agency and see if someone will pay him more than the 3 years, $51 million that's on the table for him now. And you lose both. How about having Jordan Davis and Miles Murphy on rookie contracts for the next 3.5 years? Save you a shitload of money. You're paying $30 now for 2 guys, where you'd be paying $3 million for 2 guys. And then you can afford to bring Badbury back. See, if you move off of Jordan Hargrave and you sign a guy and draft a guy like Miles Murphy, he's on a rookie contract. Now you got to determine if Jordan Davis is the future or not. Okay? You got to determine if he's the future. You know, you can't spend more time at a White Castle than you do at the NovaCare Center. There's got to be a true commitment. He was not a complete bust at 13, but he underachieved. Jordan Davis underachieved. Sills, he was hurt. Underachieved. The kid in New York has lived up to his reputation. Whether or not we like his attitude or not, but Kayvon Thibodeau, he's a good player. He's a good player. And I thought he was all over that field against the Minnesota Vikings. He was everywhere. Okay? Jordan Davis underachieved. Now, if Jordan Davis, watch this, guys. If Jordan Davis was the 13th pick in the 3rd round, that's a different conversation. 13th pick in the 1st round, he underachieved. As a matter of fact, that entire draft underachieved. There's some incompletes, but the entire draft underachieved. I mean, and you could always turn around and go like this. Devontae Smith's draft, I mean, kid had a great year. Broke the rookie record. This year, he's over 1,200 yards, 1,300 yards, whatever it ended up being. Had 90 catches. That's panning out. Thibodeau or Davis? I'd rather have Thibodeau. He's there every Saturday, every Sunday, Monday, Thursday. Thibodeau plays. Davis doesn't. And since he's been hurt and came back, I haven't seen him. He's been a non-factor. Yale goes like this. He's a nose. So the 13th pick in the draft is a nose tackle who will get no pass rush for you. Remember, he had 9 sacks at Georgia. He was a non-productive player at Georgia. He had 43 games at Georgia and had 9 sacks. Okay? I had 10 sacks in 15 starts. And in a 12-game season, I had 103 tackles. This guy had 28 tackles one year. That's not productive. Shit, the guy next to me, Jerome, missed 3 games at 75 tackles. I mean, I look for production, guys around the ball all the time. Like Ndamukong Suh, when he was at Nebraska, was a freaking force. You knew he was going to be good. Okay? Mild, so it's something to think about. All right, let me hit a timeout here. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
My name is Dan Sileo, and I'm Managing Director here at Del Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
Since 1977, it's always been about you, the community, at Rafferty Subaru. And through the Subaru Love Promise, we prove we care by supporting charities like So Good Now.
So Good Now helps kids in under-resourced areas by connecting them with student athletes to serve as mentors. We remove barriers so athletes can help youth in the corners of our communities where light and love are needed most.
When you choose Rafferty Subaru, you help organizations like So Good Now.
It's all about you at Rafferty Subaru.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Post-game show with Seth Joyner,
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn,
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney,
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
and Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post-game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
Big Till's National Football Show. I mean, the crying. Yeah, you making really bad comments about my coach. Man, oh man. It's okay. I know. I have a propensity to upset people. I don't know. It's a gift. It's a gift. My aunt would say it's lacrosse, right? It's the cross we bear, but yeah. Frank Reich interviewing for the. Can I tell you why Frank Reich has to interview for jobs? I found something about contracts. You ready for this? You have to, in the NFL head coaching contracts, if you get fired and you have remaining years on your deal, you have to actively pursue opportunities that resemble the job that you had at the place you were relieved of duties from. So that's why the Bidwells, it probably is a joke when what's his name, Cliff Kingsbury said, he's going to Tibet or some shit, wherever the hell, Thailand, and he's going to one-way ticket. Well, they can go after him contractually. You have to look for gigs. If there's an interview, whether you can do it Zoom or whatever, you have to actively look. Do you know Frank Reich is owed $9 million a year for the next 3 years? Hey, Sills, you think he'll be the offensive coordinator in Philly? No. Now, here's how it can happen. Okay, here's how it can. If Frank is owed 9, the Eagles agree to pay him 2. Okay? The Cardinals are on the hook for 7. That's if Frank wants to do that with his guy, Nick. With the understanding, if there's an NFL head coaching job there, he all bets are off, and still he's under the contract, and there's still financial money restrictions. with the Cardinals because, or the Colts. So Frank Reich being a coordinator somewhere, I know he's interviewing, what is it? He's interviewing for the Cardinals Friday. He's already interviewed for the Falcon job and the, not the Falcon job, the Panther job. So he's already interviewed for those. So he's probably filled his commitment. Okay? $9 million for the next 3 years. Holy cow. That's pretty crazy. So Frank has to go for a head coaching job and can't. Warriors, I think if he wanted, like I said, yes, Colts, excuse me. Warrior, I think it plays out like this. If Frank wants to be a coordinator in Philly and they pay him $2 million, okay, then the Colts are on the hook for $7 million. Okay, he's still owed 3 years at $9 million per. That's quite a big number. I mean, Kingsbury's got 3 years left too at $9 million. I mean, hey man, I got in the wrong profession. You don't have to be very good at your job. You just got to be a good bullshit artist, right? Just got to be a good bullshit artist. I could coach him. I could coach him up. Shit, I could promise you I could do what Anthony Lynn did in Los Angeles with the Chargers. I could do that. Hey, run over there. Hey, run into a wall. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Man. Okay. So the Dolphins. This is smart. Chris Greer, the general manager, has come out going, Tua's our guy. And by the way, he throws this line out at you like you're stupid. Well, anybody can get concussions. Yeah, but when you turn around and you look at Chris Greer and go, dude, he had 4 in 4 months. I mean, what are the odds of having 4 concussions that put you in the concussion protocol? Okay? And keep you out of a playoff game that Skylar Thompson, the stripper, has to play. I mean, I get what he's doing, though, because personally, I think he's trying to keep the value of the player in case they have to move him. It makes no sense to do this. Yeah, we're completely moving. Watch this. Why would you do this? And we're going to completely move off of Tua. The concussions, they really don't. It's like telling everybody, hey, my house was on fire. We repainted it. But, the house is in really good shape. And you want the same money that you would have put on the market before it was burned. Why would you burn your house down? Okay? You know what I'm saying? Why would you burn the house down? You can take it now. Of course you're going to prop him up. He's our starter. Hey, we're not worried about this. I think it's smart. Why would you devalue like Howie did? Howie made one of the biggest mistakes, in my opinion. He still got the one from Indianapolis. But here was Howie. Hey, we're going to have a quarterback competition. Like the week after. Why? Should have came out and said, Wentz is our guy. We're going to evaluate everything. And then had the competition. You didn't have to tell the public that. You didn't have to go public. You kind of devalued it. That's why it was a contingency first-round pick. Made no sense. You devalued your player. It's going to be interesting how Howie Roseman handles some of the players that are free agents. Well, we're not signing him. Well, okay. They're definitely going to go on the open market. Look at Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders has had no conversation with the organization whatsoever on coming back. That guy's good as gone. And you know what? If I were him, will he start making business decisions on Saturday night? Will Miles Sanders make a business decision Saturday night if he's kind of hurt? I'm not going back in. I'm going to be a free agent. Would you play? Lamar Jackson didn't. What's the difference between Lamar Jackson and Miles Sanders? They're both free agents. Guys are making business moves now. I'm not saying Miles will do that. Lamar did it, though. Said he was hurt? Okay. Get it. Guys, awesome stuff. Want to thank you for coming aboard. I also want to thank my guy, Seth Joyner, for stepping in with us. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Absolutely great. Tone great. Xander, great stuff. I will catch you tomorrow going 3 to 6. We'll see you on the flip side.